right now.
Yeah, still a lot for us to try to understand. But, you know, Jeremy Finley, our chief investigator, just shared this. But in 2021 to 2022, the investigative team did a story taking a look at Antioch High School and its history of violence there, and found that Antioch High School had ranked the 4th most violent when it comes to fights. Again, we don't know the circumstances of what happened today. That has not been shared. I imagine investigators are still trying to piece together what led up to this. But there is some context to be found, even though the numbers are a little bit dated. Violence at Antioch High School, they have the most documented fights in the entire district when you look at Metro Nashville Public Schools for 2021 to 2022. All right, we've got a live reporter who is on the scene now to give us a better perspective.
Yeah, Brendan Tierney is there. He's one of many crews there on the scene. We're checking in with Brendan right now, who should be there at the school. Brendan, tell us exactly where you are. What are you seeing? What are you learning for us?
Yeah, guys, we're at the MAPCO station just at the Murfreesboro Pike intersection out here. It's where police have blocked off the road. It's where they've set up the staging area. You can hear the sirens behind me. There's a Metro Police helicopter above us. You'll see this police car come by. It's still a very, very active scene out here with parents and kids all running around the area. Many parents frantically trying to get in touch with their kids out here. We have seen some Metro schools buses all heading down towards the school. We learned after the Covenant school shooting that they have a new procedure, that they use those buses to evacuate the school, and it appears that's what they're doing right now after queuing up in this area where we are at right now. There's a lot of people standing around as Metro Police are out here trying to figure out how to start this staging process to eventually evacuate the school. There's a lot of parents who we've seen walking into the area with that large police presence. A lot of traffic has been backed up as well, with all of the police cars as well as other first responders coming through the area. I know I came down here from the Ellington Pike area of East Nashville, and there were cop cars just flying down through the area, line upon line of them, as it looks like we have an ambulance coming back past us here right now, as there, of course, are reports of injuries at the school. We have an ambulance coming through right now. If, Nikki, you want to show people what we're seeing here, we have an ambulance followed by several Metro Police and other emergency, appear to be Metro fire cars as well. You have different first responders out here. Everyone gets thrown in these sorts of situations. All the detectives, they all try to get out to the scene as fast as they possibly can to respond to these sorts of situations. But again, Metro Schools is telling us that there is currently no active threat after the shooter situation, as we have an ambulance now coming away from the school with a police car both in front of and behind it right now. And again, an ambulance coming past us right now, Metro Fire. On the drive down here, I did have 2 ambulances come past me on I-24 as well. So there's definitely still many people coming through the area right now as we have more helicopters above us, Nikki, and it looks like there's more first responders coming out from the scene as well as we're out here. You can see all the parents out here that are walking around, many of them on their phone. One I talked with earlier was on the phone just trying to get in touch with their student who was at the school when that shooting happened earlier this morning. Again, Metro Police do have the road in front of the school completely shut down if there's any parents trying to get out here to get in touch with their students. They have set up a reunification center that parents are instead asked to go to as they're out here trying to coordinate everything. This is now a Metro School Security officer. So that's Metro School Security and the SROs that, of course, have been added at all Metro high schools. There's 2 of them as of this year at all Metro high schools. All Metro middle schools have an SRO, and then they've been rotating them through elementary schools as staffing allows. That another precaution that was added to try to protect schools and prevent situations like this after the Covenant School tragedy. We have more unmarked police cars coming past us right now, as it's just such an active scene out here. The gas station that we pulled into out here was just full of cars and parents all trying to figure out exactly what's happening out here along Old Hickory Boulevard and Murfreesboro Pike, where people are trying to figure out where their students are. Many people we've out here just kind of standing around on the phone. That definite people just trying to figure out what exactly is happening and make sure that their students are okay. We'll, of course, continue following this, but for now, I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Brendan, let's talk a little bit more about what you're seeing in terms of parents and people who are there rushing to the scene. It is eerily similar of what we saw at the Covenant School shooting March 2023, just people frantically trying to figure out, is my student okay? What are you seeing from some of these adults who are rushing to the scene?
Yeah, the look of just panic on many parents' faces has been apparent as they've been coming out here. There's a lot of traffic in the area, understandably, as I had mentioned earlier, from the Metro police cars obviously coming through with their lights and sirens on, cars having to pull off on the side, but also many parents just trying to find some place to park their car, some place to pull over to then be able to get out of their car and walk down to an area like where we are right now. Metro police do not appear to be letting anyone beyond this point right now as they're trying to continue to evacuate the school and figure out where different people are. Nikki, let's show the parents that are behind us over here so you can get a sense of what we've been talking about. There's just lines of cars filling parking lots out here as close as you can possibly get to the school. These parents are now trying to get in touch with their kids. And Amanda and Holly, these are the images that we're seeing out here. This is what everyone fears and doesn't want to ever have to deal with. The fear that their student might be hurt, injured, or even involved in an incident like this. And they're now just hoping that everyone is okay and their family's okay.
Absolutely, and you know they're anxious to reunite with their child and just try to at least talk to them and make sure that they are okay. So at this point, I can see that the road is blocked off. Can you actually see, Brendan, can you see the school from there? I'm not sure if you can hear me. Can you actually see the school from where you are, the staging area?
So we cannot see the school from where we are in this staging area that's been set up. School's about maybe a quarter to half mile further down the road from us out here. The school's down the road from where they have it completely blocked off. Murfreesboro Pike is where they have the road blocked off out here at the different gas stations. And are they moving us, Nikki?
Yeah,
they're bumping us back.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm going to send it back to you guys. They're moving everyone, all news crews, back up to the intersection. Then they're going to give us some additional information. So we're going to get moving so we can get up there to where the state troopers are setting up, as well as Metro Police. And, of course, we'll get you guys the latest information as soon as we have it.
Okay, Brendan, we'll be checking in with you very shortly. But, again, anyone in that area, they are not letting any parents, any of those folks approach the school.
Okay.
They are having everyone go to a reunification point, and that is 3754 Murfreesboro Pike. We continue our team coverage. We have a live look right now from Vanderbilt.
And we've learned that 2 of the students involved in this shooting who were wounded have been taken to Vanderbilt Children's Hospital. This is a live picture here. And we know even at this hour, I mean, we saw in Brendan's live shot, ambulances still, lights and sirens going to various places. So this is likely where unfortunately, some people will have to go to understand the extent of the injuries of their child. 2 students wounded in that shooting that was carried out by a 3rd student who police say then directed the gun at themselves. They say the threat now over, obviously, at the school, but it's unclear the extent of any of those injuries. Let's take a look at some video, too, that we're just getting in. Sorry, our producers are communicating to us every time we get new information, images and pictures into the newsroom. So you're seeing now video that shows officers rushing directly to the scene, to Antioch High School, as soon as they got word of this shooting unfolding there.
And you can see they just continue to drive on by. This is presumably one of our own units right here, possibly a viewer. But you can see we have numerous police cruisers, lights on, flashing, all the sirens going, everyone rushing to get to the high school. So again, this shooting played out at some point this morning. We don't know the exact time, but there was a shooting call earlier this morning. We know this involved 3 students. 1 student shot 2 others and then turned the gun on himself. We know the shooter was a male student. We do not have specifics. Metro Police, TBI, everyone has not released that information. We do not know conditions, except that all 3 of them were injured. We know 2 of those students have been taken or were being transported to Vanderbilt, and that's where we were bringing you a live look right now. So we are learning some more information. That's what we're trying to find out about all the victims involved. But again, in total, 3 students, 1 student shooting 2 others.
All right, Metro's Nashville Public Schools sharing an update within the last 60 seconds or so. They are asking families who have students who go to Antioch High School, they're saying, please do not come to the school. We just saw a live shot where we're still seeing people trying to get as close to campus as they can. Brendan showing us cars parked as close as possible as parents try to rush to the scene. So Nashville Public Schools saying, please don't go to Antioch High School. They're asking people to go to the Reunification site to reunite with students. We've been telling you that's at 3754 Murfreesboro Pike. That is Ascension St. Thomas Hospital. Buses are taking students as they're cleared to leave the scene to Ascension St. Thomas Hospital, 3754 Murfreesboro Pike. That's where reunification is going to happen. And it's not, doesn't sound like it's going to be immediate because they've got to make sure that these students are cleared to leave the scene before they can get them on the buses and to that reunification site.
Again, all this a new protocol that's now in place since the Covenant school shooting. We are also hearing from other lawmakers throughout the area. A statement from State Senator Yarbrough here. Tragic news in Antioch today. High school kids really ought to be able to go to the cafeteria without fear of being shot. Goes on to say we're praying for the victims and the entire community, but we clearly should start doing the work needed to keep kids safe. Again, that coming in from State Senator Yarbrough this afternoon.
And we do know that TDOT has deployed some of its help trucks to I-24 at the exit where people would usually go to get to Antioch High School. They're trying to help with the traffic congestion in that area. So we know a lot of law enforcement officials have made their way to the scene basically at the same time. That's caused some backups. We've got a lot of parents heading to the school as well in different parts of the area nearby that reunification site. Courtney Allen is getting ready to share a little bit more information from Vanderbilt Children's Hospital. We know that 2 students were taken there after being injured in that shooting. So as she gets set up, we'll try to get with her on the latest information there from the hospital. But if you see TDOT help trucks out there on I-24 near Murfreesboro Pike exit and Antioch High School, they are there to kind of help folks navigate around some of these traffic backups.
Yeah, so Murfreesboro Pike, just stay clear if you can, unless you are a parent and you do need to go to that reunification point. Again, 3754 Murfreesboro Pike. We have team coverage. We have crews throughout the area, all throughout the school, ready for you. Probably about 10 crews, some of them gathering information right now, others talking to folks at the school, others actually talking to parents. We have some of those that we're going to be feeding these interviews and giving those to you live coming up in just a couple of minutes. Our Courtney, is she ready? Can she hear us now? Can we check in with her there live at Vanderbilt to tell us what she has learned? Okay, I think we're going to have to wait. Okay.
We're at the Vanderbilt Hospital right outside of the Adult Emergency Center. We got here about 10 minutes ago, and I can tell you that shortly after we arrived, so did an ambulance. It pulled back into the bay here. It is the second ambulance over. And when that ambulance pulled in, those 2 Metro Nashville police officers you see told us to get on the other side of the street. They told everyone to back away from the area, and since they have been moving traffic through. Now, shortly before that ambulance pulled in, a Vanderbilt spokesperson told me that she could not confirm whether students shot at Antioch High School had arrived at the hospital yet, but she did say that any students from that incident would be going here to the adult hospital. Again, this ambulance backed in just about 10 minutes ago. We're working to get more information on who was in it and more information from this hospital. They say that they're going to give us updates as soon as they can, but they're trying to confirm things themselves. Again, you can see Metro police officers on scene. We'll bring you more information when we get it.
All right, Courtney Allen, watching situation there at Vanderbilt as we work to learn more about the injuries suffered by 2 students at Antioch High School in a shooting that happened today. We're also hearing from some of our crews, and again, we've got a lot of people covering this from all different angles. Steve Mailing says he just finished talking with the sister of a girl who was right next to the shooter when some of this took place inside Antioch High School's cafeteria today. So he is sharing some of that with us. We'll be sure to give you as much information as we can as soon as we get that interview sent back to the newsroom. But again, still trying to get a handle on those injuries and the conditions of the students involved.
And you can see they are apparently setting up for some sort of presser. You see all the microphones getting ready to hear from someone. So we'll, of course, bring that to you. We'll be monitoring this for you. We'll bring that to you live. But again, we have a lot of people just now finding out, just now tuning in, hearing something about a shooting. There has been a shooting at Antioch High School. It happened this morning inside the school cafeteria. We know 3 students were shot. Apparently, 1 student shot 2 other students, and then the gunman turned the gun on himself. We do not know any conditions at this point. We do know that all 3 did suffer some sort of injuries. We're still waiting to learn as we are zooming in on some of the look. That on the right side, that is a live picture there at Vanderbilt Medical Center. And we have been told, according to Vanderbilt employees there, they have confirmed that any shooting victim from Antioch High School would arrive here at this hospital. However, they would not confirm if any of the students have already arrived. So that's what we are waiting to learn. We know Courtney Allen is there, and we are still working to learn any and all conditions and more about the victims as well as the shooter.
Here's where we've got that live shot trained on the ambulance there at Vanderbilt. Courtney Allen is live on the scene with that particular crew, and she just shared with us that the moment they got there, one of those ambulances, the middle one, I believe, pulled into the bay, and then 2 officers got out and basically told news crews to move to the other side of the road. So it's unclear if that particular ambulance is involved in this situation, has transported victims there to Vanderbilt. But this is something that we are watching closely as we watch 2 Metro police officers essentially stand guard over this particular ambulance that arrived on scene just as Courtney Allen showed up there to monitor the situation from Vanderbilt, where, again, as Holly mentioned, we're hearing is the likely place that victims will be taken from this particular shooting at Antioch High School. We are also learning from Wilson County that Hobson Pike is going to be shut down indefinitely at the Wilson-Davidson County line. It is unclear whether or not that's directly related to this, but important to know, as TDOT says, they're actively trying to help navigate some traffic issues in the area. We've also learned that the mayor is headed to the scene and will share a news conference in a moment as well.
All right, we're going to go live right now to our Brendan Tierney, who has someone he's talking to, and we're going to go to that live interview right now. Brendan, can you hear us?
Yeah, Holly and Amanda, I have you as we have all the sirens going past us. Metro Police has set up a bit of a family reunification center out here in this area. We've been talking with so many parents out here that are just trying to get in touch with their children that are at the school, including a tweener who's here. They're talking with her. You were telling me that your student was actually outside when those shots rang out. Tell me kind of what you heard from that.
I heard him panicking on the phone. I was at work and I told him to slow down. What was going on? He said, "Mom, they're shooting." I said, "Where are you?" And he said, "I'm outside now. I'm running." I said, "Just run and hide. Stay low. I'm on my way." And that's when I called 911 to see if they had received any calls yet. And so they said, "We have received calls and we're on our way." But it's just a terrifying feeling because it's happening so much, and I only have one child, and that's my only child, my son. So this type of, but I feel that they have more security at this school because it's constant. It's always something going on here.
You were telling me earlier that this is an issue that you guys are dealing with all the time out here, and you do want to see more security at this school. How concerning is it? Do you ever think something like this would happen at Antioch High School?
Yeah. I did. It's a very large school, for one. It's not enough security, not enough whatsoever. If they had something in place, as far as bringing weapons, you would be able to detect that, maybe metal detectors or something. But it's just a sad effect because it affected a lot of people today.
Talk me through just kind of what was going through your mind when you got that phone call from your son and what made you want to come rushing down here.
The way he was panicking, I was very scared because, like I said, you know, sometimes if you've been shot, you don't know till later on, you know, you just get adrenaline. And so he was just panicking, and I was just trying to keep calm, and I grabbed everything. I said, I got to go. I told the network I have to go. You know, it's no question, I have to go. And so I see where they have everything set up, and it's frustrating. You can't really get to your child. We're still waiting for the buses to bring them, and that's another stress. Because I'm just ready to take them home.
No, definitely. There's so many parents that have been in the same situation, unfortunately, here in Nashville after the Covenant School tragedy. Talk me through just kind of what you experienced after that and kind of the fears that were added that you were telling me about a little bit earlier when we were talking off camera as a parent to think that something like this has already happened in the city.
You feel very emotional about it because, like I said, parents are waiting to pick up their babies, and you send them to school thinking they're safe. And just to be that parent where you see everybody receiving their child except for you, I just couldn't imagine, and that what was going through my head. Especially, I hear him, but still, you don't know if it's more than one shooter or what's going on. And it's so cold out here, and these kids are out here running for their lives. That's the most tragic part of it. I'm just praying for the victims in there because I know that there are victims in there. And I'm just praying for their families.
Twina, you've been talking with many other students and parents out here. What have you guys been talking about as you're all just waiting for those buses to make their way out here with your students?
Basically, the kids have been talking about the ones that were in the cafeteria, what they witnessed. And, of course, everybody and their mama has a cell phone, so I'm sure. But you can't hold on to them forever. But it's just, I just send prayers out to the families.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. Stay there for a moment. I have a couple more questions for you. As we've been doing all of this coverage out here, it's definitely calmed down a little bit. There's been a little while since we've had a siren come screaming past us. I can tell you we saw about a half dozen or so Metro school buses drive past us going down towards the school within the past 5 or 10 minutes out here. Those are buses that we learned after the Covenant School shooting that Metro School does have a protocol. They use those buses to evacuate people from the schools out to the reunification centers, which across the street here is one of the areas that they have parents all getting set up for all of the reunification efforts after a shooting like this with the entire road in front of the school shut down out here. So Amanda and Holly, I'll send it back to you guys as we're still working to learn more information out here.
All right. And we see behind you several buses that are moving. Now, does it appear that they are headed to the school, or are they leaving? Are they heading in the opposite direction from where you are, which would be to that reunification point?
They are heading down towards the school. It looks like they were being escorted by some Metro police cars out here. I'll have Jason show you guys kind of what we're seeing out here with those police cars going down. And then we have all of these parents that have gathered across the street. You have Metro school staff personnel out here that have been speaking both English and Spanish to the parents out here, trying to get everyone located over there across the street for this reunification site that they are directing people to. Obviously, they have the road shut down. There's people that we've seen just pulling over on the side of the road out here along Murfreesboro Pike, trying to get in touch with their kids, trying to come out here to the reunification area. And it looks over this way, Jason. We have some Metro police cars, looks like maybe NDOT as well, and TDOT that are starting to put out cones to continue directing traffic as they will be of course, having this road shut down for a very long time out here with this whole reunification process.
All right, Brendan, thanks. We're going to continue to check in with you as you monitor that situation. It's got to be one of the more emotional situations as parents just wait to get their hands around their kids again. We want to go back to Vanderbilt. Courtney Allen is live. She's been monitoring the situation there. And Courtney, you're seeing now an increase in police activity.
That's right. I want to break down what's happened in the last 30 minutes here outside of Vanderbilt Medical Center. We originally were over at the Children's Hospital, and then a Vanderbilt spokesperson came out and told me that students from Antioch High School, shot at Antioch High School, would not be transferred to the Children's Center. It would be here to the Adult Emergency Center. So we drove over here, and right when we pulled up, an ambulance with its sirens on came up behind us. And that ambulance, the second one that you see behind me that my photographer Zach is zooming in on, that one pulled up quickly and backed in. I took a video of it on my phone, and the timestamp from that video is 12:06 p.m. So that is the time that this ambulance backed into the bay there. Immediately, Metro Nashville police officers came out. They told me and others to back away from the area, get on the other side of the street. They have been not allowing any cars to stop, to slow down passing this ambulance bay. I asked officers if this was the ambulance carrying students from Antioch High School. They simply said, I don't know, quote, there is a lot going on right now. But we do know from Vanderbilt, all they have told us to this point is that any students from Antioch High School who were shot today would be transferred here to Vanderbilt Adult Emergency Center, and then minutes later is when we pulled up here, as well as that ambulance that is backed in. I can tell you from the last 2 or 3 minutes of being out here that multiple additional Metro Nashville police cars have shown up. We've worked to get further confirmation from Vanderbilt if they have an update to confirm that those 2 students are in fact here at this point. They say that they cannot provide us any additional information just yet, but we will let you know as soon as they do. Holly, Amanda.
All right, so again, Vanderbilt officials not confirming that any of the victims, the shooting victims, are there, but they will be transported there if they have not arrived as of yet. Again, we're talking about a total of 3 shooting victims, but they have informed us that 2 were transported or heading to the hospital. And this is the location where they would be. And in the meantime, we are also learning that Mayor Freddie O'Connell will be holding a news conference. And we were showing you that staging area just minutes ago where you saw all the microphones. As soon as he arrives, he's expected to give the news, the public, all our community, the very latest on the situation there.
Brendan Tierney just interviewed a mother of a student at Antioch High School in a live interview just a few minutes ago. And it was so striking what she said. She said that she told her son who called and told her what was going on. She said, just run and hide, stay low, I'm on my way. Danielle Ledbetter is following this situation for us as well. Danielle, tell us where you are and what you're seeing there.
Yeah, so Amanda, we are right on Hobson Pike and Murfreesboro Pike. This is as close as we could get to the school. Now, coming up on Murfreesboro Pike, there's complete standstill traffic. I want you to see people are actually pulling over and hopping out of their cars, running up into this area. Now, this is actually also the Reunification Center right here, where you see the Ascension Medical Center, our group right here. So a lot of parents are gathering here. You can see some officials here just kind of keeping things at bay. Again, lots of parents running up Murfreesboro Pike because it's standstill traffic up there. So they're working. A lot of people concerned, worried, of course, about their children. We got a chance to speak to some people waiting in that traffic, and they voiced us they were frustrated because they couldn't get to their student fast enough. So we're going to stay out here, of course, and work to get more information and talk to some of these parents and just get a better grasp of what's going on here. Guys.
From what you can see, Danielle, it looks like a large crowd. About how many people are we talking about? Is that about 50 or so parents so far? And how far backed up is the traffic since they're actually getting out of their cars to simply walk now to the reunification location?
Yeah, Holly, I think we're talking hundreds of parents, and the traffic, I would say it's backed up for about, I would say, a few miles. We were waiting in traffic, trying to get as close as we could to the school for, I would say, about 15 minutes or so, maybe about 4 or 5 miles of standstill traffic leading up to the school, which is on Hobson Pike. Again, right now, what you're looking at is Murfreesboro Pike leading up into the school.
All right, and again, we know we're talking about lots of parents because the school, it's 9th through 12th grade, about 2,000 students in that area. All right, so we'll continue to talk to Danielle throughout the day. I also wanted to bring up the very latest again. When Brendan was talking to the mom, when she said that the son called her, and it sounded as if he was a senior, saying he was panicked and he was very scared. Part of the thing that she was saying is she was concerned that there was not enough in the security, talking about she was not aware of any sort of security system, any sort of alarm that would go off as far as the students walking into the building. Concerned about that, and that it being a very large school, saying they moved from Chicago to try and get away from the violence, and that Nashville, she felt, was the safest place to be.
And one thing just stuck with me. She said, "It's a terrifying feeling because I only have one child." Steve Mailing is monitoring the staging area. This is where all of the media is being basically funneled, and we expect the mayor to be at this staging area, Steve, to share more information about what exactly happened today, Metro's response. What are you hearing as we kind of wait for this to happen?
Well, Tracy, we haven't seen those officials on scene just yet. But what I can tell you is I've seen a lot of students who are at Antioch High School who have left the school for the day. They actually told me that when this whole thing happened, at first they were taken outside of the school and then they were told to go back inside. But I spoke with a couple students who actually decided to leave for the day. One girl telling me her sister was in the cafeteria when this shooting broke out, and she just remembers texting with her sister, worrying for her life and her safety as that whole incident was going down. As you can see, a ton of parents, as Danielle had just mentioned, lined up across the street here at Ascension, waiting for any type of news, waiting for that reunification with their kids. Obviously, a lot of law enforcement on scene here as well. Traffic very much backed up along Murfreesboro Pike. If folks can avoid this area, we recommend that they do. This is just a whole active scene, a lot going on here. So the less traffic here, the better. If you don't have to be out here, we're going to continue monitoring this. We do expect to hear from officials relatively soon, and we'll be sure to bring you those updates as we have them, guys.
Steve, I have a question for you about the woman you were texting with whose sister was inside of the cafeteria when the shooting happened. Did she indicate whether it was a busy time in the cafeteria or maybe how many students were present when this happened and potentially witnessed this?
She didn't necessarily have an idea of how many people were inside that cafeteria, Trace. I think the main focus was obviously on her sister, but she recalls as her sister was texting her, kind of letting her know that she was safe, but that she was very worried about what had happened in there. She imagines that it was around lunchtime is what she had told me, so expect there to be a decent crowd of people that could have been inside of that cafeteria at the time. But again, her main focus was, of course, for her sister and her safety. I'm glad to report that both of them are safe right now, and they are waiting to be reunited with their family. Tracy.
And you know, it's interesting because right now there's a big debate happening amongst lawmakers about banning cell phones in the classroom, right? And today, in the last hour or so, we've heard from various parents who say that was my direct line of communication to my child in this emergency. That's the reason I knew that they were okay.
Almost in every case, the child had called the parent on their cell phone. That's what we are hearing. All right, and as far as that staging, so you can see what's going on. They're putting all these cones, very active scene. They're asking people to obviously stay away. If you're just tuning in, this is Antioch High School, which is located right there. This is technically right off I-24. It's off Hobson Pike. They're in Antioch, and they have shut down Hobson Pike indefinitely right there at the Davidson County, Wilson County line. You can see there is a staging area, and they have asked, they've got all these parents who have been backed up in traffic, so they're now just parked, getting out of their vehicles to try to find out whatever information that is. They're trying to move closer to the school. Others, in the meantime, are going to, it's the Ascension Medical Group. That's the building we've been showing you live where Danielle Ledbetter just brought us another live report. But that's 3754 Murfreesboro Pike. Again, the shooting at Antioch High School, reunification now for parents at 3754 Murfreesboro Pike. That's the Ascension Medical Group building.
And we've been touching base with Brendan Tierney, who is live on the scene watching some of this reunification process unfold. I mean, Brendan, you saw parents parking as close as they could get to the school, frantically trying to figure out word about their students. Let's talk more about some of that activity. This doesn't happen with just one busload. This is many trips that we're talking about.
Yeah, Amanda and Holly, we've now seen 2 Metro school buses. The second one's now coming back from the school out to this reunification center out here. I'll give you a closer look at all the parents that just lined up along the sidewalk out here as that second bus is now starting to pull into the reunification center. It had a Metro Public School transportation department vehicle in front of it with its lights and sirens on, helping escort it out down here to the area. There's plenty of police cars out here as they've now completely set up the road for cars to be leaving the school area for the most part. As we have a police car now driving past us, you can see the school bus is making its way down in, and the last one we saw, it kind of did a little loop around, as this one looks like it's doing as well. And we'll then start letting people off of it, as we're able to kind of see a little bit on the bus from where I'm standing. There does appear to be students on it. It doesn't appear to be completely full yet at this point, as we saw around a half dozen or so buses head down towards the school from where we are standing a little while ago. And that's what Metro Public Schools will use to evacuate the school, to get everyone out of the school area and then bring them down to this area. It's one of those situations where they unfortunately have experience with it. The Metro Public School buses were used after the Covenant School for this exact same evacuation process, bringing people out here to the Family Reunification Center. We've been talking with parents, including the woman that I interviewed live on air a little while ago, who was just so frantic, wanting to get their hands on their students and make sure that they're okay, even if they have talked with them on the phone, wanting to be able to kind of confirm that they're okay, see them, and get them safely home.
Right, Brendan, I want to bring this up really quickly. Notice at the bottom of your screen, if you're just tuning in, and this is for parents, loved ones of parents, friends of parents, if you can get this information to them, Antioch families can call. That is the reunification number right there on your screen, 615-401-1712. This is for reunification information on connecting with your child, trying to reconnect with your child. Again, 615-401-1712. They say the line obviously is very busy, but they say even so, stay on even if you do not hear a tone. So again, 615-401-1712. We're going to try to leave that number up for you, so you can continue to pass that number along and get it to the parents who need this so they can call this number for reunification.
All right, Daniel Ledbetter is live at this reunification center where we're seeing a lot of parents funneling in, trying to get word about their students, their children. You have some new information to share with us as we monitor that reunification process.
Yeah, Amanda, so we've been able to talk to a few parents who, of course, were frantically coming up to this area. This, again, is the Reunification Center. And, of course, everyone just concerned about their children. The man I spoke to, he said that he was able to confirm that his child is doing okay. She was, of course, shaken up. And I asked him, you know, are you shocked that this happened? He said, I'm not shocked, but it is a little unnerving that it has happened this close to home. So we are going to continue to talk to parents, more parents as well. Another parent told us they're a bit frustrated that they couldn't get to their child quick enough, or it felt like, you know, they couldn't get to their child quick enough. Now, I want to bring to your attention, you are looking at right off of Murfreesboro Pike, where there was tons of traffic backed up for people to try to get into the school off of Hobson Pike. And parents, they're pulling over on the side of the road, running out to this area, again, trying to get in touch with their kids. So we also have seen some students kind of come out of this area as well. So we will continue to kind of keep an eye on that and get more information on when students are going to be making their way to this area, guys.
Danielle Ledbetter, live for us. We do have video of the shooting, which for obvious reasons we are not going to show. However, you can hear the actual gunfire. So we do want to give you a warning in case, because this may be something you do not want to listen to. A fair warning in advance. We are going to be sharing not the actual visuals itself, but we will be hearing the gunfire.
right, so this, of course, happening in a cafeteria. Our understanding is that there were other students around that witnessed that. And we're going to try and kill that audio there, but just a glimpse into what students may have heard or potentially seen today at Antioch High School when 2 students were shot. Again, we're still trying to figure out the conditions of those students. We've been monitoring Vanderbilt, where we've watched a lot of police and ambulance activity there. Our Courtney Allen has been monitoring the situation, and she heard from Vanderbilt authorities that, you know, if we do get patients from the Antioch High School shooting, they're going to be going to the adult emergency room. They're not going to be going to Vanderbilt Children's. They're coming to the adult emergency room. So the moment that they got that information, they went straight there. This is the live shot you're looking at. She says that second ambulance in the bay is the one that pulled in just as they did, and that 2 Metro police officers have essentially been standing guard outside of that ambulance for the duration or majority of the time that they've been there monitoring the scene. Hard to tell if they're still there as we kind of zoom in during this live look.
All right. The very latest again, we are wanting everyone to know about the actual reunification area, 3754. So this is a very active scene, 3754 Murfreesboro Pike. This is part of a new protocol where the school buses now, since the Covenant School shooting, this new protocol is that school buses rush in, making sure everyone's safe. Then they come in, they pick up the students, quickly evacuating them to a point of reunification. And so that's where you're seeing right here. That's this live shot right there. I believe that's Danielle Ledbetter's live look right there. But this is the reunification location. This is that building, Ascension Medical Group, 3754, right there on Murfreesboro Pike, where we know at least 2 buses have left the school, according to Brendan. We saw about 5 or so that were arriving. At least 2 of these buses have left the school, headed for this location. This is where parents have been informed to reunify with their child.
And we're hearing from some of these parents, and it is just, it's heartbreaking to hear what they've already been through today. One woman said, you know, my son called me. He's frantic. He's scared. She said, I just told him, run, hide, stay low. I'm on my way. She's one of the parents that is at that reunification site waiting for word of her child. And we know this is not a quick and easy process, getting the students from the school via bus to this reunification site. They've got to clear the kids from the scene and then get them over there. It's just been devastating to hear what parents are going through yet again. I mean, we're all as a community just so raw, I think, from the Covenant School situation. And to be here yet again, it's tough.
I mean, hearts are breaking. Hearts are breaking. We still do not know the full extent of any of the injuries, but again, we know 3 students have been shot. One shooter, who was also a student, shot 2 others. We are told that 2 students have been rushed to Vanderbilt. We are still waiting to confirm that they are indeed at Vanderbilt, but it does appear, the way Vanderbilt staff has talked with Courtney Allen, it does appear that they could have already arrived because of the way the ambulance quickly arrived and backed in, and they had Courtney Allen and her photographer quickly move across the street, and they are telling them to stay over there. We are checking in with Courtney actually live right now at Vanderbilt with more information. Courtney, what can you tell us?
Hi, Holly. We can confirm now, according to Vanderbilt Medical Center, that 2 people are stable and 1 person is deceased this afternoon. Now, they did not tell me which of the 3 that were shot is deceased. We know that 1 student, the shooter, suffered a self-inflicted gunshot wound. However, we do not know, and then 2 other students were shot, but of these 3 people, this update that we got, we don't know who is who at this point. They said that they will not confirm just yet, but they will confirm that, again, 1 person is stable, 1 person is deceased, specifically at the Vanderbilt Hospital behind me, and then another person is stable over at the Children's Hospital. So in all, this afternoon, 2 people are in stable condition and 1 person is dead. And that's the latest update that we have from Vanderbilt.
All right, so Courtney, just to confirm, we have 1 person who is stable at the adult Vanderbilt ER, 1 person who is stable at Vanderbilt Children's, and then we have a 3rd person who is confirmed dead.
Yes, and I'm reading this. I've been texting the spokesperson for Vanderbilt Medical Center, the adult center.
Okay, obviously we just lost Courtney, but the very latest information we are hearing from her, there are 2 students who are in stable condition. It appeared that one of them is right now at adult emergency room there at Vanderbilt. Let's listen for just a moment into this live interview.
She said she can talk to me. She been text me, but still I'm still in office. I'm scared. I'm scared. I need to see my baby.
And how did it make you feel when you found out, like, okay, she's okay?
I feel happy. I feel happy. I feel happy. But still I need to see her. Make sure she's safe. Yeah, because all mother is a mother. Everybody need a child. Even anyone need a child. You know what I'm saying? So I need my baby. I need to see my child.
And where is she now?
She's inside in the school campus right now. They still locked down. Yeah. But I don't know. Maybe somebody used his phone. You know what I'm saying? So I need to say, I don't believe it. Maybe somebody used the phone. So if I saw my daughter, and I feel happy with it. Yeah.
And did she give you any idea of when she's being told, when she'll be able to meet you out here?
Not yet. Until the bus bring them down here, I will see. Yeah.
And is there anything else that you want to share or want people to know about what's happening here?
You know, really, this is dangerous. The old school coming in America is dangerous for the children. We don't know what we do. The president need to work hard. The children leave from home, they go to school, and a little bit they call you your child die. That is not safe. What are we going to do for the children? We don't know. The government need to work hard with it. This is coming bad.
And let me ask you this. Were you shocked to hear that this happened here at this school?
These things happened before, but I don't know. That time, I think my child was in this school that time, but I don't know. This is my first time is going to find my child was inside in this accident. So I'm not happy with it. I'm not happy. I'm not safe either.
Thank you so much for speaking with us. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Danielle, before you let her go, would you mind asking her if she is aware?
Oh, excuse me, ma'am.
Ask her if she's aware of what sort of security measures they have within the school, metal detectors, anything of that nature. Does she know?
Are you aware of any security measures or metal detectors or anything that's inside of the school?
I didn't know anything because I don't work at the school. You know, I'm a parent. I sent my child to get education. I didn't know anything about inside. What's happened, I don't know.
No security, like no weapon detection, anything like that? Do you know of anything like that?
No. I don't know anything about it.
Student resource officers?
I didn't know anything. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you again. I appreciate it.
Okay, we heard you just talking, Danielle, about school resource officers. So we do know that throughout Metro, there should be 2 SROs at all of the Metro high schools. And we do want to reiterate the breaking news that Courtney Allen just brought us, and that is that we do know conditions now. 2 students are in stable condition. We know 1 student is deceased. We do not know which of those is the shooter. We know that of the 2 students in stable condition, 1, it sounded as if Courtney was telling us 1 is there at the adult emergency room area there at Vanderbilt. 1 is at children's there, Vanderbilt. Children's in stable condition. So again, 2 students hurt. They are in stable condition, 1 student deceased.
And we should preface that by saying stable is kind of misleading, and it's hard to get an accurate idea of what that really means. They could be in various conditions, but stable within those particular conditions. So it really doesn't give us much information other than, you know, it's kind of status quo for now in whatever condition that could potentially be. So there is still a lot for us to learn from Vanderbilt about exactly what's going on with these students who have been injured. Courtney Allen is continuing to monitor this. Have they indicated to you when we might have an update about that, Courtney?
Not yet. They have not given us any timeline on updates to this point. The most recent update that I got at 12:51, so less than 10 minutes ago, I did not know that I was going to receive at that time. So they have not been giving us updates on, hey, we're going to tell you something at 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m. They're just giving us information as they get it. And to reiterate what you guys just said, the latest update that I received via text from a Vanderbilt spokesperson is that 2 people are in stable condition and 1 person has died. Now, these are 3 students from Antioch High School. 2 students were shot, and then the shooter suffered from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. So we don't know in this scenario between the people who are stable and the 1 person that is deceased who is who. We don't know the condition of the shooter. And to Amanda, your point, we're told that they're in stable condition, but we don't know exactly how everyone is doing at that point. We don't have those further details, but we are working to get them. I can tell you, though, that 2 of the people, 1 stable and 1 deceased, is at Vanderbilt Adult Emergency Hospital here, Vanderbilt University Hospital, and 1 is stable at the Children's Hospital just a minute or 2 away from here. And I just want to step away from the camera to give you a sense of the scene at this point. There is an ambulance right now in the ambulance bay. There are multiple Metro Nashville police officers on scene here. They have not been letting anybody slow down, stop, park, anything to that effect. The only people that are getting into that hospital are people that, you know, have appointments, have business here today, but they are not letting any traffic slow down. We, in fact, showed up around 12:06 p.m. as one of the ambulances were backing in, and we were told immediately by and you can see right now, they're just as I said, they're having traffic move quickly through here, telling people not to stop. He just said to that car, let's go, let's go, let's go. But back to what I was saying, whenever we arrived and that ambulance first backed in at 12:06 that we saw, Metro Nashville police officers told us immediately to back away from that specific ambulance and get to the other side of the street. And we asked if that was the one carrying the students. We were told that they did not know, but we do know, at least at this point, that these students have been transported here to the adult and the children's hospital. And at this point, 2 are in stable condition. 1 is deceased. Holly, Amanda.
All right. Thank you, Courtney. With the latest, we'll be checking back in with you. We are now going to check in. You see on the left side of your screen, our Steve Mailing, who is there at the staging area. And it appears that you have a parent. Steve, tell us who you're talking to.
That's correct. I'm here with Teresa Rito. She has a child inside of Antioch High School, and I was just talking to her a bit about this whole situation. Can you kind of let me know when you first heard about what had happened and how you learned of it?
So I worked from home, and I had picked up my phone and was just scrolling Facebook. And I had a friend that has a child here, and she commented they were shooting at Antioch High School, and she can't get in contact with her child. And I immediately clicked off Facebook and dialed FaceTime and called my son, and he answered the phone. He was in a classroom. I said, "Are you okay? Do you know what's going on?" I said, "I heard there was a shooting." He said, "That's what they're saying." I said, "Did you hear anything?" He said, "I didn't hear anything." But I'm on FaceTime, so I can see students behind him and talking, and I heard a girl say, "Oh, they have his arm wrapped up. He's bleeding. He's bleeding." And so I just talked to my son, asked him, "Are you scared? Just stay in the classroom. Don't get up." And then I called his dad to let him know what was going on. And then my phone just started blowing up. All my friends, all my family calling to make sure, because they know I have a child here, to just make sure he's okay. And so I let them know he's fine. And I never got a call from Antioch or any text message from Antioch High School. And so I was pretty sure it was on lockdown, so I didn't get up immediately. But then we got a text message, a mass text message went out saying that you could reunify with your child at this location. So I just got in my car and drove up here. I called my son back again just to make sure. They had moved all the students to the gym. And he's saying, like, I just talked to him a few minutes ago, he's saying he has to wait for the order, whatever order they're doing, get in to bring them down here on the buses.
One thing I wanted to ask you, of course, we're trying to get this answer from parents who we've spoken with. Do you know if there were any weapons detection systems inside of Antioch High School?
Not to my knowledge, there's not. I actually brought my son missed the bus this morning, so I had to bring him to school this morning. I have to, when you bring them late, you have to buzz in and sign them in. So I was able to buzz and get them signed in and told them, "I love you, have a good day." And I walked out the building and went on about my days. But no, to my knowledge, there's no metal detectors, no wands, anything. And I was just on the phone with one of my friends. She has a child at a middle school, and she just said that they put metal detectors and wands at her child's middle school. She's like, I don't understand why they didn't start with the high schools. Exactly. Like after this, every metro high school, at least starting with the high schools, because that's where it's more problematic at, they need metal detectors.
I wanted to go back to what you said, dropping off your son, saying I love you. Is that something that kind of went back into your mind? Yeah.
I do it every day. I have 3 children. My other 2 are in private school, and I made a mistake in pulling him out of private school and putting him in public school. But this is his senior year. I won't be doing this again, and the other 2 will stay in private school. But I say it every day to all 3 of my kids. I love you. Have a good day.
Teresa.
I'm sad for whoever is trying to contact their child who said, I love you, have a good day, and their child is not answering the phone. It's unbelievable.
Teresa, I appreciate your time. I'm glad your son is okay, and hopefully you guys can be reunited as well soon.
Thank you.
So as she mentioned here, not sure of any weapons detection systems inside the school. This is obviously going to be a topic of discussion for the likely coming days, guys, but for now, I'll send it back to you.
I mean, we've already heard multiple parents in live interviews just within the last hour echoing those same concerns, saying that they feel that their school needs more security, whether that be metal detectors or other ways to make sure that students are safe. If you're just joining us, we have an update to this shooting at Antioch High School. We've learned 1 person is dead and 2 other people are hurt. They're being treated at Vanderbilt Medical University Center and Vanderbilt Children's Hospital. And we're unclear about their conditions, but we are hearing from authorities that the 2 students who are hospitalized are stable at this hour. We're still working to learn a little bit more about their injuries, but we heard from that woman who spoke to her son on FaceTime and saw a student in the classroom saying, oh my gosh, somebody is bleeding from the arm over here. And that's kind of our first indication of what sort of injuries we could be dealing with.
Right, and the fact that there are witnesses who were able to see at least part of what was going on. Again, the shooting happened at some point this morning inside the cafeteria. And I tell you, just listening to that mom, I mean, our prayers are with all the parents right now. I've been with this community for a long time. We all have, many of us, and just praying for all the parents right now, and especially for those who have not yet heard from their child, because we know this touches all of us at this point, and we're still waiting to find out exactly how these other 2 students are doing, and we do not know which of the 3 students is actually deceased. Our Jeremy Finley obviously has been following this, and you have another angle on this. Tell us what you are learning. He's joining us in the studio now this afternoon.
Well, the first thing I want to talk about is technology in the school. So here's what we do know. We know that as of last year, Metro schools had implemented a system where we're talking about a new system where ultimately this is telling parents when a gun is found in a school. They're using AI technology, and that AI technology is supposed to alert the school when a gun is seen on cameras. But I want to start off by getting back to the very beginning of this about the history of the district and with this school. So this is unfortunately a school that is familiar with gun violence. Let's start with a timeline here, okay? On October 16th, 2024, an Antioch High School student was arrested, accused of bringing a gun to school. Police say they found a loaded handgun in the boy's pants when he arrived at school that day. Resource officers were tipped off that the boy brought a gun to school the day before and were waiting to search him when he arrived at school the morning. The gun was not reported as stolen.
Multiple shots in the cafeteria of the school.
Did not belong to him. He was charged.
The individual wounded 2 other students, one of them fatally, before shooting and killing himself. There is no danger at the school. The police department's SWAT team has cleared the building. We have identified the shooter, again, as I said, a 17-year-old, and the investigation is advancing now. One of the persons that the 17-year-old shot, a female, was transported to Vanderbilt University Medical Center and is deceased. A second individual wounded, also a female, has what is being described as a graze wound to the arm, and she is in stable condition at Vanderbilt. This investigation is being led now by the police department's homicide unit, and there is quite a bit of work to be done. That's all I have at this moment. I have no names to give you of the individuals yet. As we have already issued on social media, we have a family assistance center at Ascension across the street from us. There are a lot of school buses at Antioch, and those school buses are going to be transporting the students to this lot across from us here at Ascension. The initial plan was that even one of the persons that school bus just up the street, a female, was transported to Vanderbilt University Medical Center and is deceased. A second individual wounded, also a female, has what is being described as a graze wound to the arm, and she is in stable condition at Vanderbilt. This investigation is being led now by the police department's homicide unit, and there is quite a bit of work to be done. That's all I have at this moment. I have no names to give you of the individuals yet. As we have already issued on social media, we have a family assistance center at Ascension across the street from us. There are a lot of school buses at Antioch, and those school buses are going to be transporting the students to this lot across from us here at Ascension. The initial plan was that even car riders would be transported by school bus just up the street to this family assistance center. We want to make sure that the entire campus is stabilized, including the parking lots, before we would release any vehicles of students who drove to school today. All right, I can take just a couple of questions before we go back to the scene, and again, there'll be more from this same spot in a brief time. There were 2 SROs in the building. They were not in the immediate vicinity of the cafeteria when this happened. By the time the SROs got down there, the shooting had stopped, and the shooter had shot himself. I will let the school system answer that definitively. I did not see any metal detectors in the building, but that's a school system issue to address. There is a male student who has some type of a facial injury. It's not a gunshot injury, and I'm not sure if he fell or what was the cause of that, but there is another male student being treated at Vanderbilt who does not have a gunshot wound. He has some type of a facial injury, the cause of which I'm unsure about. Okay, I didn't hear the last part of your question.
Can you confirm the ethnicity of the victims at all?
No, I can just confirm gender at this point. The 2 gunshot victims who were taken to Vanderbilt are female, one of whom is deceased, and the shooter is male, and he's African American. That has taken place or is taking place. We know that the shooter is 17. I don't have ages for you on the 2 gunshot victims at this point. No, all of those questions will be a topic for the homicide unit to delve into.
Do we have a motive yet?
No. All right, that's what we have for now. We'll be back here shortly with more. Thank you.
So
So as this news conference wraps up, we are getting new information, and what we've learned is that 2 students are now dead. A female student has died. A male student who police say was the shooter and turned the gun on himself has also died. Then we have a 3rd student who was grazed and is being treated, and then a 4th male student who was not shot but suffered some sort of injury, perhaps to the face.
All right, so in total, we're talking about 4 different people who were hurt in some capacity. Again, 1 of the 4 did not involve a shots fired, did not involve the gunfire. Some of the questions that were asked, talking about SROs, school resource officers, so basically security there at the school. Don Aaron saying 2 SROs were in the building at the time of the shooting, but they were not in the vicinity of the cafeteria, which is where the shooting played out. And by the time the SROs arrived there, the shooter had shot himself. So again, the very latest information we're learning is that 4 people are involved. We know 2 of the students are dead. 1 is a gunman, the male, and we also have a female victim who is also deceased, and another student who is also a shooting victim who right now is in stable condition. We're told had some sort of grazed wound to her arm and is expected to be okay.
And you know, the other thing that we've been hearing from a lot of parents is security. They want more security, and we're trying to figure out, well, what kind of security is already there? And you heard in that news conference the question come up to Don Aaron, Metro Nashville Police Department. Are there weapons detection systems in this particular school? He said he was going to let Metro schools answer that question. Brendan has been monitoring the reunification efforts that are going underway. So many parents, Brendan, desperate to see their children.
Amanda and Holly, I actually was the reporter who asked Don Aaron that question about safety and security at the school at that press conference just a few moments ago. He said that when he was at the school, he did not see any metal detectors in there, but he wasn't sure about other weapons detection systems. A parent that I interviewed live on air earlier, just after this incident happened, said she really wants to see more security stepped up to make sure people are safe out here at the school. We have also learned that there were 2 school resource officers at Antioch High School. That is Metro Police policy right now. There are 2 school resource officers at all Metro high schools this year. Those officers were in the building and did respond, but by time they got to the area where the shooting happened in the cafeteria, the 17-year-old, we are now learning a 17-year-old African-American student male is what Don Aaron told us just a few moments ago, had already shot himself, taken his own life, and that then ended the situation involving a pistol in the cafeteria out here. Metro Police will be giving us another update a little bit from now. We're also waiting on Mayor Freddie O'Connell, who we have been told is on his way out here to the Antioch High School area, as that reunification effort is definitely still ongoing out here. There's a lot of parents still lined up across the street from us, just really a growing number of parents that are lined up out here waiting for their students to come out here. We had originally been told that they might allow some people to go and pick up their students at the high school, but Don Aaron told us that Metro Police decided they're going to keep the entire school campus as set aside as a crime scene, and then they will eventually come down here and do all the reunification after evacuating those students off of school buses that we have slowly been seeing shuttling students back and forth across the area. And we're hearing different screams. I just heard a scream across the street. I'm not sure exactly what that was. It looks like it was a parent and a student hugging, embracing after they finally got reunited out here. So definitely a lot of emotions, a lot going on as parents are still frantically trying to get in touch with their students after the shooting at Antioch High School. But now we do know some basic information that 1 student, the gunman in this case, is dead, along with a female student is dead. 2 other students are injured in this shooting and are stable currently over at Vandy.
And we heard from one mother who said, you know what, I'm not going to believe my child is okay until I see her, right? Someone else could have had the phone and texted me, I'm okay. Parents need to see their children to know that it's going to be okay for them.
one of the things we have not been able to really zoom in on right now is some of the reunifications, the amazing reunions. And Brendan was just talking about one of them. He heard someone scream, and it was a parent hugging their child. We were showing you a few close-ups as we were doing various interviews with our team coverage, our team of reporters out there who are talking to all these parents. But you could see so many of these kids, these high schoolers, these students getting off the school buses and giving others hugs, looking for their loved ones, looking for their parents, and just precious hugs and reunifications. We're just so glad to see that. But that's the situation right now. We know at least 5 buses that headed in, 2 buses at least have come out. We still have many parents, Amanda, as you were saying, who still are waiting and do not know. And you can only imagine how anxious they are because they want to see their child, they want to hear their voice, but also give them a big hug and just know that they are okay.
And probably the hardest part of this story may potentially be happening at Vanderbilt, at the adult emergency room and Vanderbilt Children's Hospital. Courtney Allen is live monitoring the situation. And this is where we know that the victims were taken for treatment, Courtney.
That's right, Amanda, and this situation is evolving, and we're learning more information, more updates, more numbers at this hour, both from Don Aaron with Metro Nashville Police Department and from Vanderbilt. I took some notes, and I'm just going to read them directly from my phone to recap the latest that we know at this hour. We know that now 4 students were involved. We were originally told 3. That has now been updated to 4. 3 of them were taken here to Vanderbilt Hospital, which tracks with what Vanderbilt has telling us this morning is that 3 Antioch students were taken here. One of the students that was transported to Vanderbilt is dead. That is a female student. 2 more, a second female was shot, but she is stable. And then a 3rd student, a male student, was injured. He was not shot, but suffered a facial injury. And he was also treated here. So at this hour from Don Aaron, those are the 3 students that were treated here at Vanderbilt. Is the one female who has unfortunately died from this situation. You can't imagine being the family showing up here this afternoon facing that reality. And then also the 2 students who were also involved in this, the male student with the facial injury was treated here. The female student, the second female student that was, or I'm sorry, the second female that was shot but is in stable condition. Now, it did not say anything about the shooter himself being transported here. Don Aaron simply said that he killed himself. Back to you.
All right, so again, the latest numbers, we know 4 students involved, 3 of them shot in some way, 1 female student dead, a second female student who was grazed by a bullet. We know a 3rd male student was not shot, but suffered some sort of facial injury and was also treated there at Vanderbilt. And then the shooter, which we have learned is a 17-year-old black male who apparently turned the gun on himself and died.
Let's talk more about the security situation at the school. We know that every Metro school, high school, has officers, SROs at campus. That was the case today, according to Metro Nashville Police. They say 2 SROs were in the building, but were not close to the cafeteria where the shooting was unfolding right around 11:09 this morning. As soon as those officers made their way to the cafeteria, the shooting had stopped. Let's go to a live interview now. Steve Mailing is at the Reunification Center.
I talked to him. I called him. I tried to call him as soon as I find out, but he didn't answer it. But he did test me. He said he was fine, that he was in the classroom, and that they were on lockdown. Yes.
And I'm busy.
I'm waiting for him. He just told me that he's in the bus, but he's still asleep. So he's not here. Yeah. I'm waiting for him to get here. I think everybody find out first through Facebook and all that.
Kind of hard to hear that, but you know, basically Steve talking with her about did she have communication with her student? Are they okay? And we've been hearing a lot from parents that we've been talking to. You know, thankfully I was able to get in touch with my student with their cell phone.
Exactly. That communication coming from the student via cell. We're going to listen right now. We have another live interview for you.
You know, remind her about our therapy exercises of just breathing through it, and it's hard. It's so sad to see these kids go through this, and
You know, somebody's child is not coming home today, and I just cannot imagine that. My God.
And for your family, you've already kind of been through, your children have been through this, and did you ever expect it to happen at like a safe space like this?
Never. I never expected it to happen where it happened the first time, and I definitely didn't expect it to happen here. And, you know, like now my son is saying, Mom, I don't even want to graduate. I don't want to go through this no more. I just now got them to really start going back out in the public. And then this happens. Like, I just don't know how we're going to get past this.
I was going to say, how is your son?
He's not doing well mentally right now at all. He just keeps asking, where's my sister? Where's my sister? I'm like, Tosh, she's okay. We just have to wait. We just have to wait for her to get off the bus. But she's constantly texting me. She's letting me know every update. This is just unreal.
For those other parents,
Hearing from more parents here just in disbelief. Others still waiting to hear from their child. All right, we're going to go live now to Brendan Tierley, who is talking to a student. Brendan, tell us who you're talking to and what he witnessed. What can he tell us?
Hey, Amanda and Holly. Yeah, we're getting set up out here right now to talk with Ahmad. You're actually the son of the woman that we had interviewed earlier who was so frantically trying to just make sure she was able to find her son and make sure she was okay. You were actually at the school, right kind of near the cafeteria when that shooting happened. Can you talk me through what kind of all you heard and saw?
Yeah, we was in the cafeteria just getting lunch like every other day. And the shooter started, we kept hearing like gunfire in the front of the cafeteria. Then people looked around screaming. We ran behind the garbage cans. And then we saw people getting shot on the ground, bleeding and stuff. And I saw me and my friends and everybody in the back, we all ran on the side door, crouching down. And I tried to help these people who was falling on the ground, getting pushed. And so I was running while doing that, and then we ran out to school in the back of the school near the football field.
When you hear those gunshots go off and then you see your fellow classmates injured in a shooting like this, what's going through your mind?
I wish I could save them. I feel like a lot of pain and grief and depression, knowing that I can't do anything to help them. Just seeing them just get shot in front of my face like that.
Your mom had told us that she was able to get in touch with you, that you called her almost as soon as it happened. Talk me through that conversation and what that was like, letting your mom know that you were okay.
So when I ran out to school, I was calling her, telling her everything that happened, step by step. And so I was telling her, like, hey, Mom, this is a school shooting. Can you get here as fast as you can? And she said, what happened? And I was explaining it to her that there's a school shooter active right now shooting people. I don't know if he's still alive, if he's dead right now, but he's still at the school. And I told her I walked away as far as I can, away from the school. And so I called my dad, and I called my female friend, and she was still in the school. And I was trying to tell her, like, find a way for her to get out safe. And I was checking on everybody to see if they're okay.
Metro Police are telling us that the shooter took their own life and one of your other classmates that were shot in this is killed. When you kind of hear that news, how heartbreaking is that for you?
It's really heartbreaking because it's like just seeing someone you know just die like in front of your face like that at any time is kind of really upsetting. And just seeing that you can't really save the person or help them, but you just seeing someone just take their life like that in front of your face, it's kind of heartbreaking.
Obviously, there's school resource officers at all the Metro high schools. Can you talk me through the other different safety measures that you get to go through every day here at the school to try to prevent something like this from happening?
So today, they said it was really cold. They should have canceled school. I don't know why. But we used to have metal detectors, and they stopped it just like a week later. I don't know why. They do searches, but it's not enough constantly because there's so many people who sneak weed or guns, and they don't do it. They just expel them. They don't press charges or anything about that. That's all I've heard. But I feel like they should be more strict.
Brendan,
would you ever think something like this would happen at your school?
Yeah. The school has a lot of problems, and I feel like if something like this was supposed to happen, I just didn't know when. Ever since on the first day I got to the school, I felt like it was going to become a problem. As many fights it was, and the guns, people have been caught with guns in their backpacks, and I feel like it was going to happen one day.
Makes sense. Thank you so much for joining us and talking us through this. I'm so sorry you had to witness that and go through all this today, but I'm so glad you're kind of being able to be reunited with your mom out here after such a tragic situation. We'll let you get home. We'll let you go get safe. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. Could I ask you a question real fast, actually, if we could? What was it like when you were able to finally get back in touch with your son and give him a hug out here after he got off that bus?
Oh, the bus situation and trying to, that's kind of unorganized because everybody's waiting for their child and you have to have these lists, and that could have moved a little quicker, especially when you just wanted to take your child home and make sure they're safe in your arms. That's another struggle. So, but you know, this has never happened to him. Like he said, there's always fights and guns in the backpack, but nothing past that. And I hope, and it's sad that it had to come to this, that now, you know, they'll get metal detectors or more police officers in the schools. You know, you see them on Murfreesboro Road, but, you know, let's get them in the schools. Yeah.
What's that feeling now, that knowing he's officially finally safe and you're able to take him home?
Oh, yes. Just want to lock him up. Like I said, it's my only one, and want to lock him up. And I don't know, like, going from now, what is the school's plan? What is Metro's plan, especially for this school? Because, like I said, they have had issues constantly calling. The school is on lockdown, this and this and that. Okay, what's the action plan now? Because it's serious. You know, students have lost their life. It could have been worse than what it was. But we need to do something about that.
Thank you so much for your time. We're so glad that your family is safe in such a tragic day out here in Antioch. And Amanda and Holly, it's definitely one of those situations where everyone that we've been talking with is in a similar situation, that they never thought something like this would happen out here, even if there have been violent instances at the school in the past. It's really interesting what he told me about them having metal detectors in the past and they took them down. That's definitely a question we'll end up asking Metro schools about when they're finally able to give us more answers about the security measures at the school out here. As again, 2 students are dead. One of them was the gunman at this Antioch High School incident.
Just a striking comment from that young man you just interviewed, Brendan, saying, you know, I wish I could have saved them. I have a lot of grief and depression. He says because he wasn't able to save the people that he considered friends. That's a heavy, heavy weight to carry.
It certainly is. Hearing people scream and run, trying to hide. All right, we appreciate it. Brendan, we'll be checking back in with you. Right now, let's check in with Steve Mailing, who is talking to another parent there. Steve.
Yeah, Holly, Amanda, I'm here with Joanna. Her son is a freshman at Antioch High School. She is here waiting with us, as many as all these parents are, waiting to be reunited with their kids as they bring in these school buses from the high school. Joanna, can you kind of walk me through what we were talking about before, how you found out what had happened today?
Well, I was at the office, and actually it was my nephew that called me and let me know that if I know that, you know, about the shooting in Antioch, and I say no. So I'm like, you know what, let me call my son, Giancarlos. I hung up, I tried to call my son and he didn't answer, but he then texted me and said that he was okay and that the school was on lockdown.
I know that you had mentioned to me that you had 2 other sons who had gone to Antioch High School before this. We had thoughts about Antioch High School itself. What do you know about the school itself, sending your son there? Did you have any reservations sending your son there?
I did to send my son here. He's a student athlete, and I did have my reservation because what I hear after my sons were out of school. But now this happened, so I'm gonna have to think about it for next year.
You had mentioned that your son is a student athlete as well at the school, which makes things a little bit tougher. And you were mentioning to me before that you always see these things on news, online. You never expect it to happen here, right? I can't imagine you expected this to happen.
Of course not. As a parent, you're afraid of something like this to happen. But when you are living it, it's another thing. Yeah, I was very afraid.
Do you have any thoughts to take your son out of Antioch High School after an event like this? Do you want to see more from the school system itself to implement maybe new safety measures into the school?
They do need it. They need to implement safety regulations at school. Maybe, you know, I know they have like police over here, 2 officers maybe, but they need to do more. They need to do more. And yes, I will have to think about it, about my son coming to Antioch next year. I mean, I want to support Antioch and the community, but when something like this happens, you have to think on your son first.
Well, Jonah, we're happy that your son is okay. Hopefully you guys are going to be reunited soon. We appreciate your time, of course. Holly, Amanda, this is the main topic that we've been hearing from parents, the concern for safety inside the school walls there at Antioch High School. It's definitely going to be something that is going to be discussed over the next following weeks, months, however long it takes. But right now, parents are just waiting to be finally reunited with their kids and take their kids home. For now, I'll send it back to you guys.
From your vantage point, Steve, have you seen anyone reunite with their children? Have you been able to witness that?
Yeah, I've witnessed a couple dozen people actually reunite with their children out here. They have a speaker to where they're announcing the students' names, then they have the parents come up and verify that that is their child. It's that new protocol that we had mentioned before in our coverage. It's heartwarming, but at the same time, it's a bittersweet thing to witness because you know the situation that they're coming from. At the same time, you're happy to see that they're okay and that they're once again able to hug each other to say, I love you again, to be together with themselves. Once again, it's something kind of incredible to witness in and of itself. I know that there are plenty of buses coming in actually right now. That moment's about to be shared with a lot more parents and students, and hopefully they're going to be okay after this situation. It's obviously a very traumatic situation to be in as a student and as a parent. But to have your parent waiting for you when you get off the bus is probably the first thing that they're just waiting to see here, guys.
You know, to reunite. But again, at this point, we do know 2 students will not be coming home. One of those, a shooter, and the other, a victim, a female victim. And talking back through what some of these students, what Steve was just talking about, so many of these students actually witnessing something to this level. The student we were just hearing from heard the gunfire, people screaming and running. He ran and hid behind garbage cans, ran out of the back of the school, saying just the grief and the pain that he was feeling because he didn't feel like he could save anyone else. But interesting because he also called his mother, and that's the tale over and over again when we've been talking about a lot of different leaders, school leaders and lawmakers have questioned, should we have cell phones in schools? And in each of these instances, we've been hearing from students who are contacting their parents, whether it's FaceTime or whether it's texting or actually making that phone call.
I've had multiple conversations with Mary Joyce and Melissa Alexander, and they're 2 mothers of the Covenant School. Their students survived the shooting, but witnessed very graphic pieces of it. And one thing that they speak a lot about is the shared trauma of a community. And that's a tough thing to navigate, right? And we're hearing from so many people who are starting to understand, unfortunately, what that shared trauma means and what it really means to be a survivor in these situations.
All right, we are now going to go live to our Danielle Ledbetter. Now, she is at our Reunification arena there. This is Ascension Medical Group right there on Murfreesboro Pike, who is talking to, it appears, another parent. Danielle.
Yeah, Holly, so this is Jonathan Beasley. You were just telling me your daughter was inside. Can you tell us how you found out about what was happening here today?
Yeah, she texted me saying that there was a shooting. They were on lockdown, but she was safe. And, you know, wanted to leave right then and there, but just kind of had to figure out, you know, they weren't going to release her and we weren't going to be able to get to school anyway. Until we got a notification from the school that they were on lockdown and this was going to be the meeting center, so just hauled it over here after that.
And how did you feel when she first reached out to you?
I was scared. You know, my heart sank into my stomach. You know, and thought of, you know, the victims and the shooter himself. You know, it's an ugly situation altogether.
But you're telling us that she is on one of these buses, right?
She's, I've already texted her. She's on the 3rd bus right there.
Okay. And then what do you think it will feel like when you finally get a chance to see your daughter?
Oh, it'll be a weight off my shoulders for sure. Because, you know, as a parent, you send them off to school thinking, you know, hey, you're going to be safe. You're going to be here at the end of school. And, you know, odds are, given today, she may have been one of those people.
And I asked you this a little bit earlier, but just to re-ask you, were you shocked to hear about this?
No, I wasn't. It's sad to say that, but I wasn't. You know, it's Antioch gets a bad rap, but I don't think they do a whole lot to help police the area or the schools themselves.
And are you aware of any security measures inside of the school?
Not really. No, it seems like it's kind of a free-for-all. You can just walk in, walk out. Doesn't seem like much is going on there.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us. We do appreciate it. So, yeah, guys, lots of parents out here just waiting to be reunified with their children, guys.
I mean, the resounding theme that we're hearing from not just parents, but students as well now. Security, security, security. No weapons detection system there. And it sounds like this is going to be a conversation that continues in the days and weeks and months to come.
Right. Now, we're still working to learn if there's any other sort of weapons alert system, but at this point it does not appear so, and several witnesses, including students, saying they had a metal detector at one point but no longer do. All right, we are getting ready to check in with another reporter at this time.
Yeah, Lydia Fielder has been out in the scene as well, watching some of these interactions, parents waiting for their students, finally seeing their students. Describe what this is like for these families, Lydia.
Well, Holly, Amanda, I am with one of those parents here now. I'm here with Leonard, who has 2 students here at the high school, a son and a daughter. And Leonard, you were telling me how you initially found out about this shooting.
Yes, ma'am. It was my mother-in-law from Fayetteville, Tennessee, down in Lincoln County, gave me a call and asked that I hear what was going on. By that time, my wife was calling me also to tell me what was happening.
And you were saying that was pretty striking to you because you didn't hear it from the school first, but you heard it from a family member outside of this area.
Right. I was concerned at first because I didn't hear it from the school directly because of the automated line, but do understand that how fast things happen. I understand that maybe it was just timing factor for them to get to it. But the fact that the police got there and everything was safe for the most part, I'm grateful for that.
And as we're standing here talking, you're saying your wife is actually sitting in a car somewhere near here? Is she stuck in traffic while you're here at the reunification site?
No, we drove over together, but she wanted to jump out and come over, and I told her it's too cold for her to stand out here in the weather that I would do it.
And I do want to mention your students, your kids are okay. So glad to hear that. What were they telling you or your wife once they did finally get a hold of you?
They just said that they was locked down in the class and that they were safe. They didn't give much more detail. More detail came from some of my former kids, my kids that were graduated from Antioch, getting messages directly to them. So.
And you have 4 students that have already come through this school, 2 here currently. Have you experienced anything like this with your other students before?
Not to this degree. I mean, a couple years ago they had a bomb threat, but that was it. Nothing that manifested from that.
And then just tell me your feelings as a father, as a parent, when you do get this call from whoever it was at first. What goes through your mind?
To be angry. To be honest, anger, and then grateful. Grateful that things probably could have been worse, but my first instinct was to pray to make sure everyone was safe, even if someone was shot, that the Lord's will be done.
And I would imagine that's what's happening with a lot of parents out here as we wrap up, sharing your feelings, Leonard, of first anger, obviously being scared, and then praying that everyone's okay and saying we're thankful that our children, we are going to have them home as we are out here now waiting for these buses to arrive. So we appreciate your time. Until then, we're gonna send it back to you, Holly and Amanda.
All right, so the repeated message we're continuing to hear is the concern for safety. And were there for sure any security measures in place? Our Jeremy Finley is joining us now in studio. We know you've been looking into this and you do have some new information.
We do, guys. So I know every parent that is watching this right now is asking, how in the world did this gun get into this high school, especially what this city has encountered with school shootings. So I want to let you know, first of all, if there's any breaking details that come out, we're going to go live out there so you can continue to hear from parents and students. But what I want you to know is what we have found out about security measures in metro schools, specifically this school. So last year, the whole district implemented a new security measure that's called Omni Alert. So Omni Alert is AI technology that alerts the district through their existing system when a gun is detected within a school. So this was sold to metro school districts as a real way that the districts can know using their current technology, again, using AI and cameras, if a gun is actually seen within a school. But the key in all of this is that the gun itself has to be detected by the cameras. We do not know in this case if the gun was at all revealed until the moment when the shootings occurred. But we do know that the system is in place in every metro, at least high school. We know that. And we also know that this cost about $1 million for metro schools to implement. But let's think of the reality of what this is. So this technology is in place, but again, it only works if the cameras detect that gun. We're hearing a lot of parents and a lot of students saying, look, we don't have metal detectors. So what I did is I printed off all of Metro's own data on enhancing school safety for metro schools. There is no mention on any of this about metal detectors. What they do talk about having, and we've seen this, those of us who have been in the city for a while and have reported on this, they have security vestibules that you have to kind of pass through. A lot of times they will have wands, but what we don't know is that those wands are used every day. So of course they're going to have the same standard procedures that we have in most schools, that the classrooms are locked when something like this happens. And of course there are security cameras. We know that. They talk about this here. They also talk about that you have to be buzzed in. You heard a mother talk about that when she dropped off her son earlier today, that she had to be buzzed in to go in. But when all of the kids are coming into school at the beginning of the day, we don't know if every one of them is patted down. We don't know if they are given wands, but obviously somehow this gun got into the school. So that is going to be the question. You heard a young man say a moment ago that they used to have metal detectors. We're working to verify if that in fact is true, and if they did, why it was taken out. That's something we're working on. But one thing that I have been looking into is the history of violence with this school. And here's what we know in just the last couple of years. Last October, a young man was arrested at the school. He was found to be carrying a gun, but it happened as he carried the gun into school. So according to the information from police, that this happened on October 16th of 2024. The young man was arrested. We don't know his age, but they were tipped off that this boy had brought a gun to school. Metro Police were there and able to anticipate that happening. Were able to get the gun. At the time, the student told police that the gun did not belong to him. But this just happened last October, that a gun was actually brought to the school. The very next month, on November 19th of 2024, someone made a false threat against this high school. They said and anticipated that they were going to carry out a school shooting on that day. That was November 19th, 2024. Police say that someone told them about a social media post that made this threat. They began to investigate. They ultimately looked into it, turned out to be a hoax, but officers were sent that school as a precaution. I just want to tell you about 3 years ago, I did an investigative piece into the schools with the most violence, and we specifically looked at fights, which is obviously something that schools deal with all the time. What we found, and this data comes from 2021 to 2022, that Antioch High School had the 4th highest number of fights in the district. So that data is a couple years old, but it does indicate that for years, at least between the 2021 and 2022 school year, that it already had a history of violence. So that is kind of your update on where we are with history and technology at this school. We've got a lot more questions to be asking. And of course, we'll fill you in as soon as we get them. Guys, back to you.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, Jeremy, to see how that Omni Alert system is going to be judged based on what happened today and how it worked or didn't work. So more to come on that.
All right, now we're going to check in with our Jordan. Our Jordan James is joining us live, and he looks to be in front of the Reunification Center there. Good afternoon to you, Jordan. What can you tell us there?
Well, good evening, Holly. I can tell you that hundreds of parents are standing out here waiting to reunite with their children following this shooting. You can certainly feel the concern in the air. Several parents have been standing out here for over an hour, and I actually want to bring in one of the parents who has been standing out here with me. Ma'am, just kind of talk to me about what was it like when you found out that a shooting had took place here at Antioch High School?
Oh, I was shocked, nervous, scared, wasn't sure what was going on. I got the first call from my daughter before I got anything from Metro Schools. And yeah, it was just scary. So when I read it on the news and seen what happened, not only was I thinking about my daughter, I was thinking about everybody else's children. It's just hard to get the news. And then if it's, the parent of the child, of the incident, it just can be devastating. I know it is. Condolences go out. More metal detectors or more security officers. 2 is not enough for a school that big, for 2,000 children or more.
And I mean, speaking of those security measures, how do you feel sending your child back to school moving forward in light of this incident?
Nervous. I want to do homeschooling, and then you have, all the other attributes that you need for that. You don't send your child to school, then you get truancy. It's just chaotic, and they just need more security for the children.
And then something that stood out to me, you told me you were able to talk with your daughter by phone, but she possibly heard the gunshots?
Yes. She said she heard it. She was scared. I guess they had a substitute teacher at the time, and she was just, I guess, unaware of the process. And she was just real nervous, and all the children were in there just scared and didn't know what to do. She was letting people use her phone to call their parents as well to inform them on what's going on. I was just nervous. My job let me go, paid time off, and I'm just here to try to get my child now safely home and, talk about everything that's going on and what has been posted already on the internet.
And lastly, I mean, what will that moment be like when you finally get the chance to reunite with your daughter after hours of talking with her?
I'm just going to give her a hug. And then I'm going to talk to her about, how to carry yourself and be aware of your surroundings. Even though you're at school and you feel protected, you still need to be focused and have, awareness of what's going on. Just talk to her about, how to conduct herself, and we just all have to be careful out here in the world today.
Absolutely. Well, Holly and Amanda, that's the sentiment out here. A lot of parents standing around waiting to reunite with their children. I'm going to send it back to you in studio.
We're seeing some of that reunification happen on the live camera that we were just showing you, and hopefully we can go back to that. I mean, this is remarkable to see. We've got someone with a megaphone kind of in the center of the crowd, likely saying the names of the students to reunite them with their respective parents. We've got students that are hanging out of the bus windows and communicating with their loved ones that way while they wait to get off. So some of the very important moments of the day happening for parents right here.
So many of the students, you see some of them getting off, actually then trying to find their parents. They're still waiting. And then obviously many of these parents waiting for their child, who you can see some of them are still on the bus. Several of these buses have made their way back and unloaded. These have not just yet. Again, a lot of these parents having to just park wherever they could. We know the streets have all been backed up, so they've been walking to this reunification center, just trying to find their child, get in touch with their child. And the big question, too, it just keeps coming back to what Jeremy brought up, is how did the gun get into the school? Of course, this is going to be an ongoing discussion that we are going to be talking about for some time, including school leaders, parents, lawmakers, trying to figure out how this could happen yet again. The very latest information, we heard from students saying there's no metal detectors in the schools, but we are all hearing again about this Omni alert, this artificial intelligence technology that...
Oh, look at that.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, we've got
mom and daughter
ones hugging each other as they're finally reunited. What a moment that is, too, by the way. I mean, these parents have been waiting for hours now to see their children, to hold their children, to tell their children again, I love you. That's happening right now.
And take them home. So we're going to try to continue to bring you more reunions as we describe the situation and what has happened as more of these students do get off the bus. Again, with this Omni alert, trying to figure out, so the cameras are supposed to detect any gun, and that was in place at this high school. It's in place at all of the metro high schools, yet somehow this 17-year-old male shooter got a hold of a gun and had it inside the school cafeteria. If you are just joining us, still a very active scene. We know the situation there at the school itself is contained. 2 people are dead, 2 students are dead. 1, the shooter who turned the gun on himself, and 1 female victim.
It's just remarkable to see all of this happening there. And some of the people in the crowd are people that we've interviewed who are anxiously waiting to reunite with their children, and some of them are still waiting. We've seen video from inside of the school where students were just sitting in various rooms waiting for this moment as well. So there's been a lot of waiting, and finally this is the moment that parents and students are both looking forward to. Steve Mailing has been talking with a lot of folks who are in that very position, from students and parents as well, Steve.
Yeah, that's right. I was speaking, as we just had about 15 minutes ago, speaking with Joanna. Her son, who's a freshman, was in there waiting inside that gym. He was actually waiting on a bus in the parking lot to be taken here. As you can see now, a lot of parents have gathered to the front of this bus as the students are hanging out the windows, speaking to their families. It's kind of those first smiles you see between a kid and their parent as they're back here in this parking lot and they're fully waiting to be reunited. It's kind of a bit of organized chaos right now, though. Obviously, these parents are hoping to sign their kids out as quickly as possible and just get them in their arms as soon as they can. But they have a process for doing this. They're trying to call out the students' names, have the parents come verify that they're their parent, and then sign them out, of course. But on the bright side, no matter a tragic situation that we're covering here today, this is definitely the brighter side of the situation. To see these families once again reuniting, holding each other, being able to share this moment of relief, that weight off their shoulders as they see their kids once again after this whole incident unfolded, guys.
Are you able to hear, Steve, any of these conversations? Because we see a lot of students who have been on these buses for what seems like or feels like a while now, just communicating through the window with their loved ones.
I mean, really, at this point, the students are just waving and saying hi, saying I love you to their parents as they're out here waiting on the hill to be reunited with them. As you can see, a hug right there at the front of the school bus. I mean, there are no words for that moment to describe this moment properly. It's just such a beautiful thing to finally see these families reuniting with each other after such a scary incident at the school. Obviously, these parents never imagined, the parents we spoke with never imagined something like this would happen at their schools, but now they're finally able to see each other again. I know a lot of conversations are going to be had, obviously, in the households that we spoke to, at least, of whether or not they will be sending their kids back. But for right now, they're just able to once again, like I said, guys, enjoy this moment, say I love you again, and be with their parents.
And it's a mass reunification, too, because we're talking about 2,000 students attending that high school. Right now, we're going to go live to our Jordan James, who is talking to a student. Tell us who you're talking with this afternoon.
Well, good evening, Holly. Some of those students just got off the bus, and right now I'm joined with a freshman here at Antioch, Serenity. So, Serenity, just kind of take me back to this morning and what this entire process has been like for you.
Well, it was scary because our teacher wasn't here and we had a sub, so she didn't know what to do. She didn't lock the classroom door. It was teachers. They was trying to help, but they really couldn't. And the students, it was like being loud, not taking it serious. So I was scared. And then I heard the shots. I didn't know what to do, so I just called my mom. I really don't know what to really say because I didn't think I'll ever be in this situation before, but I've always been scared to be in a school building and they start shooting or something like that. I've always been scared of that. So having it happen, it was just I couldn't really believe it, but it was I don't know. I really don't know what to say.
And to find out that 2 of your peers died in this shooting, has that resonated with you just yet?
Yeah, because you really can't trust no one for real. And it's the fact that he had the gun in the school building. It just makes me feel I don't know, I can't really trust anyone. So it's I'm just scared. I really don't know.
And, you know, speaking of being scared, I mean, how do you feel returning to this Antioch at some point in time?
I'm going to feel a little uneasy, probably a little nervous, but I'm going to try to push through the day. But I don't know. I really don't know.
And finally, talk about being able to embrace your mother after hours of being on the phone with her and to stand with her here right now. How does this feel to you?
It feels good because the students that got shot or died, they're not able to do that, and their parents are also grieving right now. So it's like the fact I'm able to be with my mom right now makes me feel happy and safe because not other people can, you know, do that right now. So.
All right. Well, thank you, Serenity. And Holly and Amanda, that's the sentiment out here. A lot of students and parents are feeling grateful to embrace their loved ones after the tragedy that occurred here at Antioch High School. I'll send it back to you in studio.
So many questions, too, when you hear her saying that the substitute wasn't really sure what to do in those moments. So a lot of questions that we've got to get answered in the coming days here.
Yeah, and that's the second time we've heard that about a substitute teacher not knowing exactly what to do. All right, now we're going to break away from that and go to Danielle Ledbetter. She's joining us live now with another interview. Tell us who you're talking to, Danielle.
Yeah, Holly, so I'm with Charlene Oliver. Can you tell us, how did you learn about this news and what made you come up here?
Well, I was at the Capitol in my office and started getting a lot of text messages from colleagues and that there was a shooting in Antioch High School. And I said, that's my district, so I wanted to come check on folks here.
And what have you learned about the situation?
There was a news article, basically, that news alert that came on my phone, and again, just started checking text messages. I got off the Zoom call that I was on, and I had a meeting with the mayor at noon, but I said, this is more important. I need to come over here.
And since you've been kind of on the scene and talking to people, have you learned any new information or anything like that?
Since being here, I've obviously learned that 2 of the students are deceased now, and my heart and prayers go out to the parents and families and their loved ones. This is not something that none of us want to be here. And I'm here at the Reunification site trying to be helpful, trying to just offer moral support. A lot of people are anxious, as am I, and learning that they have some students held. Some of the families and parents haven't heard from their child, and some of the students don't have phones because they left them at home. So a lot of folks are just really like, I need to get to my child. So.
And my last question for you, I see that emotion coming up out of you right now. Talk to us about what is that?
You know, I'm a mother. I have a child in high school, 9th grade. So you never want to get this call. I'm just empathetic to, I'm sick of this happening. I'm sick of this happening to Nashville. I'm sick of this happening to our babies. The trauma that they're going to endure, whether you witness this incident or not, sticks with you. Now the memory of being in a cafeteria now will come with you whenever you're in a school. So my heart aches for these babies that they're having to grow up in situations that are avoidable and preventable. My colleagues can do something about this. We can do something about preventing and limiting school shootings. Obviously, you don't know how people are going to act. And also, when it comes to mental health, we don't know what folks are going through. It's a tough times right now.
Well, I want to thank you so much for taking the moment out to speak with us. We really do appreciate it. And so that's kind of the same general sentiment that we are seeing out here from a lot of parents. So I'm going to go ahead and send it to you guys back in the studio. Marius, Lauren.
Danielle Ledbetter, thank you so much. Her words were very powerful. She said, you never want to get this call. I'm sick of this happening to Nashville. I'm sick of this happening to our babies.
Yeah, how many tears do we have to see cried in the city, right, over this issue? Again, it's 2 o'clock right now. Want to reset some of our breaking news coverage for you. At 11:11 today, that is when police were called to Antioch High School because just 2 minutes earlier, a deadly shooting had taken place. A female student was shot directly. A male shooter, 17 years old, armed with a pistol, took the life of another student and then took the life of himself. We also know, as a combination between Metro Nashville Police and Vanderbilt University Hospital, that 2 people are injured. So here we are now, the second deadly shooting in this city in just a matter of years.
667 days since the Covenant shooting, and a community is going through this once again. We want to get out to our Dryden Quigley, who is standing by right now. And Dryden, what are you seeing and what can you tell us?
Yeah, we're live here with mom Aisha, who has just been reunified with her daughter. Talk to me a little bit about how you're feeling.
Feeling very emotional, relieved that I have my baby, but like I said, still sad for the parents who didn't get to reunify this way and who unfortunately don't get to reunify.
And you had a son and a daughter both inside the school. Talk to me a little bit about, how your day was, this phone call that you say you got from your son.
My son called me and he was screaming and running, and I could hear him running. I could hear kids screaming in the background. And he said, "Mama, they're shooting, come get me." And I didn't ask any questions. I just jumped up. I lived 3 minutes from the school, so I just jumped up and I came. And he told me where he was standing, so I got him in the car and tried to go in the school, but of course it was on lockdown, so that was at like 11:10, and I'm just now getting my baby girl. She's a junior, and she was in class, and she didn't even know what was going on when I called her. She thought that I was just joking, and I'm like, no, I'm serious, there's a shooting. And then she called me back and said, "Mama, we're on lockdown, they're not letting us out." And so I'm just now able to get her, and she's not doing too well.
And this isn't the first time that your children, unfortunately, have been near some violence like this.
No, it's not. We were working at the restaurant, Roasted, when the shooting happened on Easter Sunday, and they witnessed that entire thing too. So I've just now been able to kind of get them back acclimated to getting out of the house and going in public, and then this happens.
We are so sorry, and I'm so glad you're able to hold them in your arms again. Tell me a little bit, what was it like to be able to hug both of them, getting off the bus?
It was emotional. It was very emotional. My daughter, I just need to check on her because she's not doing good. She didn't even want to talk.
And I know that's the same for a lot of families and students around here. There are still tons of parents out here waiting to be reunited with their children. Thank you so much, Aisha.
Dryden Quigley reporting live for us right now. It's the constant theme you hear from parents. About an hour ago, one of our reporters interviewed a man who said, and I quote, "It's a free-for-all inside Antioch High School," were the parents' words. And you think about the healing that has to happen from that.
And you talk about healing. Though her daughter witnessed another shooting just months ago. And now she's going through that second incident again.
Let's go to our Steve Mailing right now. Steve, you actually have the perspective of students who were inside the school at the time.
Lauren Marius, that's correct. I'm actually here with Orlin. Orlin was actually in science class when this whole thing happened. Can you walk me through exactly what you were just telling me about?
So I was in science class, and then we see multiple people just like leaving school, running out of school, and we didn't know what was going on. So people started testing on their phone, and out of nowhere, on the intercom, they're talking about some lockdown code blue. And my teacher, Coach Major, she just springs into action, starts barricading the doors, and then she just tells us to go sit in the corner and just be quiet as possible. And so we were just there for 30 minutes, and after the 30 minutes, we started hearing banging outside. But luckily, it was just the police. They came in guns. They broke down the door basically, make sure nobody was in there, and they said it was good. That's it.
What's going through your mind when you see a bunch of cops coming through your classroom door? I can't imagine this is something that you expect to happen when you're in science class.
Nah, I'm gonna lie. When they came in, they had the lights on, and I was terrified. I thought I was gonna die. So I thought it was a shooter, because they just broke down the door, no talking, nothing. They broke it down. They're just guns out, pointing at everybody with the light. So I thought it was the last time I was gonna be alive.
Now, obviously, you're here with your mother. Can you walk me through that feeling? We saw you hanging out the window of the bus before, finally able to kind of see her. Just talk me through that feeling with your mom, just spending that moment to be with her again.
So coming here, I was happy because we're finally out. I was with one of my friends, and finally seeing my mom was a relief, being able to see my mom, because I didn't know if it was going to be the last time this morning, so I'm glad.
Is there anything that you guys said to each other when you first got off the bus?
I love you. Or I just hugged her. I hugged her, and I just hugged her. I don't know what else. I just hugged her. That's it. I just hugged my mom.
Orlin, are you afraid to have to go back into school the next day you were in school? Is that something that you're now going to have to think about,
Am I scared to go back? In a way, I'm a little scared, because, I was having fun. I was in art and, playing the game with my friends on the phone. And then, I don't know, after fifth block, it all happened. So, I am scared to go back to school, just in case. You never know what happens.
Is there anything that you'd like to see happened safety-wise to the school? Do you think that more needs to be done?
Yes, most definitely. This should not be happening at a local school where people like go to get their education. This is not right. There should be more security out there, or metal detectors or something to make sure people don't have guns or anything like that, like knives or anything. This is not right.
Orland, we're glad that you're safe. I'm glad that you're reunified with your mother. You know, we appreciate your time, of course. And Marius, Lauren, I'll send things back to you.
Yeah, Steve, thanks so much.
Yeah, we have got some insight from a lot of people that have been inside the school. We just heard of something that happened that went right. He told us that the lockdown code blue was calling. Teachers they jumped into action right there, started barricading doors and told everyone to be quiet so they could, you know, go through that process.
You know, I think it brings up for all of us, anyone who hasn't ever been in a school shooting before, when you hear that it happened in the cafeteria, your mind might immediately go to the, 1,500 or so other students who would have been in class at the time, and we automatically know they're safe. But for the people who were in that building at the time, they had no idea if they were going to be safe. And you heard from that student, for 30 minutes, they were barricaded in that room. For 30 minutes, they had to sit there wondering if these were the last minutes of their lives.
And every noise they hear, the police coming to save them, they don't know that that's actually happened. You know, we talked to a few students who said they're scared to come back to school. What does school look like tomorrow, Friday, Monday? What does it look like?
We do have an update from Metro Schools. They've just posted on X, and I want to read some of this directly to you. I'm reading it at the same time that you're hearing it here. They're saying any students who usually take the bus to school will be delivered home on their regular routes if they haven't already been picked up. And that's going to begin at 2:15, which as we speak is 6 minutes from right now. And then students who drove to school will be brought back to Antioch High School so that they can get their car once police have cleared this parking lot. We do know that SWAT had already been through the school. They did clear it by about 1 o'clock this afternoon. When you think about it, it took almost 2 hours to get to that point. But you know, in 6 minutes from now, we're going to have another update that will be crucial for the next bit of information we're going to learn.
Yeah, we talked to a mom who said she got a call from her daughter at 11:10, and she had just been reunited with her daughter 3 hours later. So this is a slow process, but it's a process that must be done to keep everything in order.
Absolutely. There's been so many questions about security at the school. It's something that our WSMV4 Investigates team has looked into and studied. Antioch is considered one of the, I should say, fourth on the list of the most incidents, security incidents at that school. We know there's been a bomb threat there before. We know that students have been arrested at multiple different occasions for bringing guns into school. We also know there are no metal detectors in that school. One of the students we heard from earlier today was talking specifically about there being metal detectors initially, but then after a week or so, they were gone. We know that there are detection systems, but not anything necessarily that would be able to detect a concealed weapon at this school specifically.
And that is of concern to many parents out there as they talk about what to do next. You know, a lot of the parents we talked to said, we need more. We need more security. We do know that Antioch High School had 2 SRO officers on duty when this shooting occurred. By the time they reached that incident, it was already over.
Right.
So you had the people in place, the school resource officers in place, but they were helpless because it was over by the time they got there.
Which points to it being targeted, right? I mean, we've seen in other situations where shootings are not as targeted, where they're more indiscriminate. It does seem, by the nature of this one, that it is more targeted, simply because you have a 17-year-old holding a pistol inside the cafeteria, shooting one female specifically. We don't know the names of either of these people. We don't know the age of the female victim. And we also don't know the names or ages of the 2 other people who were also, one receiving a graze wound on their arm, and then the other who was also injured in this incident. But we do know after that female was shot, the shooter turned the gun on himself. We know that for sure.
Yeah, we also know that for 2 families, they won't have kids coming home tonight. And for dozens, hundreds, maybe even thousands of other parents, they have questions to answer to the kids that have witnessed this, and that will be their innocence was taken from them. They're going to be charred from this.
So there are more than 2,000 kids that go to this school. It is majority minority, something upwards of 82% minority, 41 different languages spoken at this school. So you think about even the dissemination of information that has to take place in a situation like this, and it can't all and only go out in English. You have 41 different languages spoken at this school, and there has to be information shared with each of them. We also are hearing that video of this incident is already circulating on social media. It's already on TikTok. It's already going amongst the students of the school. We are working to verify what we can, and we can assure you here on WSMV4 that we will always operate with the highest integrity to only show you what we know can be confirmed. And we are watching the clock as well. It's 2:13 right now to the second. And so when we hit 2:15, that's the point that we're supposed to hear from the mayor, Freddie O'Connell, here in Nashville. We're also supposed to hear from Metro Nashville Public Schools. That will be the moment that we learn new information. We also are hearing from other people as well.
Yeah, we have some sound from parents right now who are on premises, and they're experiencing this. Let's listen in.
To be angry, to be honest, anger, and then grateful. Grateful that, you know, things probably could have been worse, but, you know, my first instinct was to pray to make sure everyone was safe, even if someone was shot, that the Lord's will be done.
Such a difficult reality. And I will say, nothing like tragedy brings you closer to getting on your knees than this. I mean, this is one of those times where people just stop.
He talked about emotions, and I'm sure a lot of parents are running through the gamut of emotions, helplessness, hopefulness, gratefulness, anger. They're going through the whole spectrum of emotion.
Well, it's the thing that you can't protect your children from, right? When things begin to happen around you, and it's an existential crisis, there's no question. Our Jordan James has been down there talking with parents as well. Jordan, what do you have to share right now?
Well, Lauren, I can tell you that at this point in time, parents are still waiting to reunite with their children. In fact, I'm joined with one right now. Ma'am, just talk to me about what this process has been like, standing out here in the cold, waiting to embrace your loved ones.
I mean, basically, I know some people were here longer than me, but I got here like after 12, and it's now after 2. And every bus you go to, they're telling you, okay, line up on the side of the bus and wait for your kids. But you have a list of kids that are on the bus. Call off the list. Let us know who's coming off which bus so that we could know, okay, is this a bus we need to go to? And then they're getting aggressive and telling you, oh, I need you to move away from the bus. How? So what do you want me to do? You want me to go towards the bus? You want me to stay away from the bus? What do you want me to do? Because it's a tough process. You could just call off the list that you have because you made the kids write their name before they enter the bus. So just call off the list, and then we'd know how to move forward with getting our kids.
Certainly a lot of frustration out here. Ma'am, talk to me a little bit about how you found out about this shooting and how your nephew and your son are doing right now.
Both of them are really good. My nephew, he was actually in the cafeteria when it happened. So he actually called me while it was going on, and he was like, it's a school shooting, it's a school shooting. So I told him, I said, basically, you know, drop to the ground, just roll under something, get to something, you know. And then he called me back about 5 minutes after that. See, this is him calling me now. He called me back 5 minutes after that, and he said, hey, you know, they neutralized the shooter. The shooter, you know, either he shoot himself but something happened. So he's like, he don't know what's going to happen now, but he can keep me updated. But that's basically it.
And to hear that, you know, 2 people died, 2 people injured, just reflect on that reality.
I mean, the reality of it is, like I told my other loved ones, like, you know, I'm fortunate to be going to pick up my kids because plenty of people can't go to pick up their kids, or they have to go to hospitals to pick up their kids, you know what I mean? So this is a bit frustrating to pick them up from buses, but at the same time, it's better than having to pick them up from a hospital or go to a morgue and have to identify them, you know? So it's not as bad, but it's still a little frustrating because we're all scared. We don't know if it's, like, for the persons who can't reach their kids, they don't know if it's their kid that is injured. You know what I'm saying? So try to be more lenient with people and try to understand our frustration at the same time, too.
And lastly, we've been talking with parents out here. They said they would like to see more security measures put in place. I understand they have 2 SROs. Some people are saying they need to have metal detectors in place. What's your stance on this position in terms of security measures at Antioch High School?
I mean, with that, I feel like it's crazy because why
is a child even in the school with a gun? Like, don't you have like measures in place that, okay, when you're coming into the school, you guys walk through a metal detector? Like, that should be something that's mandatory here in Antioch, knowing that we have so many school shootings. So it's frustrating. It really is frustrating, and it makes you want to say, why send your kid to school and not going to school to learn that basically some of them are going to get killed? It's the reality of it, you know? I'm so sorry to say it like that, but that's just what it is.
All right, well, ma'am, Marius, Lauren, that's the symptom out here. A lot of parents are anxiously waiting to reunite with their loved ones, but also want to see changes happen moving forward in light of this shooting. I'm going to send it back to you guys in the studio.
Jordan, thank you. And I hear somebody on the megaphone right now. Please, by all means, listen to what they're saying. And if it's something we need to know, don't hesitate to jump back in to give us the information. Thank you.
Yeah, you talk about the parents, and then, okay, we have our Steve Mailing right now. He is standing by. Steve, what do you have, and what are you seeing out there?
Yeah, Marius, Lauren, I just wanted to come back on here and share some words from the mother and son we just spoke to a little while ago. She only spoke Spanish, so one of our photojournalists was able to talk to her and tell me a bit about what she was sharing in reaction to this incident. She said that she had a 24-year-old son who's gone to Antioch High School and graduated. This was never a problem 10 years ago for her. This was not even a thought on her mind 10 years ago for her. Now it's reality. She had to watch as her son was bussed in here, hanging out this window, just waiting to reunite with his mother, which was obviously a very warming moment for them, but it's bittersweet, as I mentioned before, just to have this moment to embrace with each other. She says she's wondering how these people got the gun. She's wondering how the gun got into the school. All questions we've been hearing from parents this entire time as we've been out on this scene for hours now. Parents wondering what security measures are going to change, what security measures are going to go into place at this school now that this has happened once again here in Nashville. As you can see, there's still many, many parents on this hill waiting to reunite with their students. We have a couple buses that are finally offloading some of them. Lauren had mentioned the megaphone a little while before. That's them announcing, letting them know, hey, we're going to try to make this as orderly as possible.
Are coming here. The students are coming here. I want to make that clear. There was a text that was sent out that was incorrect. All the students are coming here and will be brought here.
We are learning new information. So there was a text that was sent out, maybe that students were going to be taken home. We're now learning right here that they are going to be taken here. The students are going to be brought to the Reunification Center. So that's something new just happening seconds ago that we're learning now for parents at home as well. So obviously all of these parents here are waiting to reunite with their kids. The kids are going to now all be brought here from what we are hearing from Metro Police's safety team. So that's something to keep in mind here as we continue to monitor this very active scene and ongoing situation. For now, Lauren, Marius, I'll send things back to you.
Hey, Steve, I have a quick question for you. What's the process of when that bus pulls up, and how quickly are parents being reunited once that bus stops?
The reuniting process, Marius, can take minutes. I've seen some take 30 to 45 minutes. Some parents have been waiting here for hours, some familiar faces that we've seen on this hill. The process is they take one student down off the bus and they match them with their parent. They get them signed out. So it is a little bit of a lengthy process, but it's for the kids' safety to ensure that they're going to the right person in this situation. So obviously a lot of parents are very anxious to see their kids, understandably so, in this situation following this incident. But it is a little bit of a lengthy process. It's that new protocol that we had talked about earlier in our coverage that's a part of this whole situation. So a lot of patience is being exercised here as parents anxiously wait for their kids. It is a little bit lengthier, but they seem to have this kind of under control right now, guys.
All right, and all of this, we should point out once again, if you're just catching up with us, 3754 Murfreesboro Pike. This is at Ascension Medical Group. That's where the Reunification Center is. Of course, it's away from a hospital. It's away from the school because there are their own series of investigations happening inside the school. And so then the kids are being brought there.
And as you can see, there's buses all over the place. There's a lot of kids that still need to be reunited with their families. And as Steve said, this process could take minutes. It could take up to 40 minutes, 45 minutes. So it's slow going, but it's something that needs to happen.
I think also from one of the mothers we just heard from just a moment ago, who was speaking with our Jordan James, I think it brings into focus something that if we've never been involved in a school shooting, we don't necessarily think of this. But in addition to your child experiencing this, in so many of these instances, we've heard a child calling the parent saying, what do I do? And so it's not just the parents having this reality of, oh my goodness, my child is in the middle of this thing. It's also, in many of these situations, the parent is telling the child how to survive. And so there's a lot of trauma with something like this because it's full-on survival.
There's a lot of trauma, but a lot of questions right now from the parents who have been reunited with their children. A lot of the questions that we are hearing is, how did that person get the gun into school? How does something like this happen? Where were the metal detectors? Where was the detection system that's supposed to prevent something like this?
Yeah, and it does seem targeted, because when you realize that a person was able to get into a school with a gun undetected and be in a cafeteria where, I mean, look, there's 2,000 kids at this school. In some estimations, more than 2,000. And so if it's 9th through 12th, you've got about 500 or so kids in every single one of these grades. No matter what grade was in the cafeteria at the time, you've got about 500 kids inside the cafeteria. If this person, who is the shooter, wanted this to be an indiscriminate shooting, there could have been way more loss of life than just the person, the female who was shot and killed, and the shooter himself after he turned the gun on himself.
Now, we have a lot of questions, and a lot of questions will come up as this goes on. I was on the Every Town for Gun Safety website, and if this is in fact a targeted shooting, they quote, in all targeted school violence, 100% there were warning signs that caused others to be concerned. So as we move forward, I'm sure we will look for these warning signs to see if anything was out there that someone should have caught.
We've just gotten a news release from the Professional Educators of Tennessee. It's all about this shooting, and it's specifically coming from the executive director of the Professional Educators of Tennessee. This is another thing. I'm just seeing it. I'm going to read part of it to you. It'll be my first time as well. They're saying, quote, "We are heartbroken by the school shooting that occurred today at Antioch High School." And they're saying our prayers are with all of the people involved, with the students, educators, parents, as well as Metro Nashville Public Schools, with the staff as well. And then they go on to say, this issue of school shootings is complex and influenced by various factors, including access to firearms, mental health challenges, societal pressure, and a significant lack of adequate support system. There's going to be no question that with this, once again, a deadly school shooting happening in our city, that all of these issues are going to be coming up to the forefront again. And Marius, I will point out, we are in the midst, at the very beginning of a legislative session.
Yes.
We were in the midst of a legislative session 2 years ago during the Covenant school shooting. What happens now?
And what has changed since the Covenant shooting?
If anything.
A lot of parents are asking that question right now. A lot of parents who don't have kids that go to the Covenant or Antioch High School, because the question of if and when is coming up to them as well.
We do know, if you are just joining our coverage, it'd be worth adding, we've heard from students who've spoken directly with our reporters on scene, who we've carried live here in our coverage, who have said to us they had substitute teachers that day, or today, I should say. They've had substitute teachers in their classroom, and when the code blue was called over the loudspeaker, the substitutes had no idea what to do.
Yeah, one of the students said that the door wasn't barricaded from their substitute teacher.
Or wasn't even locked in one situation
locked
too.
At all, wasn't barricaded. So one of the questions that will be asked, are substitute teachers, is the information about these processes being downloaded to the substitute teachers?
We've just gotten a correction that's come in. Producers back there, can you tell me who this is coming from? Okay, this is from Don Aaron with Metro Nashville Police. We are learning that the student who was grazed in the cafeteria was a male, not a female. So remember, the student who was the shooter is a 17-year-old male. The female who died, or the person who died, is a female. We had been told that 2 people were also injured, one of whom was a female, but we're being told now it's a male student who was grazed by a bullet. That person, we know, is in a stable condition at a hospital.
Now, for more clarification on everything that's been going on, we have a press conference happening at the bottom of the hour, about 2:30, where MNPS as well as the mayor will be speaking and sharing more
These leaders, Chief John Drake will begin the briefing, followed by Mayor Freddie O'Connell. Mayor O'Connell will be followed by Metro Schools Director Dr. Adrian Battle. Also here is District Attorney Glenn Funk and Nashville Fire Department OEM Director Chief William Swan. Chief John Drake.
Thank you, Don, and thank you all for being here during this unfortunate time. What we know thus far is that we had a male student that was 17 years old that rode the bus this morning to Antioch High School. During the course of the morning, this individual made his way to the cafeteria where he then confronted a 16-year-old that we identified as a female Hispanic student, fired, striking her. She is deceased. There is another male 17-year-old young man that was wounded with a graze wound, and he has been treated at Vanderbilt and released. The shooter was 17 years old. He entered into the cafeteria, firing multiple rounds in the cafeteria, striking her, and then before pulling the weapon on himself. From that point, at 11:11, we started receiving calls for service. Officers responded and found the male shooter deceased in the cafeteria. We've been working with our state and federal partners on the identification and notifications of all. From that point, our SWAT team began systematic searches throughout the entire school to make sure there weren't any more victims or shooters within the school. We did not find any more. Since that time, we have started a family assistance center where we've worked very closely with Metro Schools. The Family Safety Center is right behind us at the Ascension Medical Center. We are systematically releasing young students to that location to be connected back with their parents. We've done that systematically so we wouldn't overload the parents or the school system so that we could get everyone back connected. The investigation is still very much ongoing as to a motive. We're looking into that. There are some materials on the internet that we're looking at that's under the investigation on the initial stages, but we'll continue to follow up on that. We've had a great partnership with Metro Schools, great communication with the fire department, with TBI, FBI, and ATF. And we'll continue the investigation, which will go until the wee hours of the morning. Please look at our platforms for further information. At this time, I will turn this over to Mayor O'Connell.
Thank you, Chief Drake. As a city, as a community, it is impossibly difficult to be here once again dealing with the devastation of gun violence in one of our school communities. As a Metro Schools parent, I know how difficult it is to receive a notification of an emergency operation at a Metro school. I can't imagine how difficult it must be to receive the notification that there has been this level of violence in a school community. I want to say as much as I can about my gratitude to Chief Drake, to Dr. Battle, to Director Chief Swan, to our Department of Emergency Communications. The level of first response here once again highlights how important our community of collaboration is. The Family Service Center behind me has been focused on victims and their needs, and we will continue to be focused on that today and for the period to follow. There have been MMPD Wellness Team, there have been the Family Intervention Program, our Nashville Fire Department's EMS division has been deeply involved in this process, and we as a community will continue to rally to ensure that resources are available to those families who have been directly impacted by this incident, and certainly to the school community. I do want to invite Dr. Adrian Battle up to talk about the Metro Schools response. Thank you, everyone.
Good afternoon. As you all can imagine, this is a heartbreaking day for the entire Antioch High School community and all of us here in Nashville and in Nashville Public Schools. Today, we lost students in a tragic incident. One student took his own life and the life of a peer, forever changing the lives of their families and everyone who who knew them. My heart goes out to these families as they face unimaginable loss. At this time, we are grateful that no additional lives were lost, though at least one student is being treated for injuries. I want to thank the school staff who quickly followed emergency protocols, potentially preventing others from being harmed. Their actions were heroic on a dark day for our school community. I also want to extend my gratitude to the Nashville Police Department and Nashville Fire Department for their swift and urgent response, securing the school and caring for those impacted. This tragedy is under active investigation by law enforcement and district leadership. While we are focused on addressing the immediate situation, we are committed to understanding how and why this happened and what more we can do to prevent such tragedies in the future. Over the years, we have implemented a range of safety measures, including partnership with the MMPD through our School Resource Officer Program, shatter-resistant film, security cameras with weapon detection software, and security vestibules. Unfortunately, these measures were not enough to stop this tragedy. I know there are questions about whether additional steps, such as stationary metal detectors, should be considered. While past research has shown they have had limitations and unintended consequences, we will continue to exploring emerging technologies and strategies to strengthen school safety. Building strong relationships between students, staff, and SRO teams remains the most effective way to foster these relationships. In the coming days, we will continue to partner with MMPD and our school team. We want to continue to foster an environment where students feel safe to speak up when they see something concerning. It's important to remember that our schools have historically been safe places for learning, friendships, and growth. We cannot allow this tragedy to overshadow the positive experiences of our 80,000 students. As a former principal of Antioch High School, I've walked the halls and I've witnessed the magic that happens in its classrooms. This loss is deeply personal for me, as it is for so many in and throughout. Have had limitations and unintended consequences. We will continue to exploring emerging technologies and strategies to strengthen school safety. Building strong relationships between students, staff, and SRO teams remains the most effective way to foster these relationships. In the coming days, we will continue to partner with MMPD and our school team. We want to continue to foster an environment where students feel safe to speak up when they see something concerning. It's important to remember that our schools have historically been safe places for learning, friendships, and growth. We cannot allow this tragedy to overshadow the positive experiences of our 80,000 students. As a former principal of Antioch High School, I've walked the halls and I've witnessed the magic that happens in its classrooms. This loss is deeply personal for me, as it is for so many in and throughout our community. Now, to allow time for students and staff to grieve, Antioch High School will be closed for the rest of this week. We are arranging a location where students and staff can receive grief counseling and other supports. As a middle school student at J.T. Moore, I experienced the pain of losing a classmate to gun violence. I know how deeply this affects families, school communities, and parents everywhere who send their children to school each day. Nashville Public Schools are committed to supporting Antioch High School's students, staff, and families in the days and weeks ahead. I am grateful for the support of our Nashville community as we navigate this very difficult time together. I would like to introduce Chief Swan, who will approach the mic at this time.
So I know there's been a lot of information that's already been put out. From my standpoint and from the Nashville Fire Department and Office of Emergency Management, from the time that the call came in, we had 10 med units respond along with 40 other apparatuses from the fire department, including our task force team that works so closely with the police department. We did do 4 transports, all of them going to Vanderbilt. Then other assessments were done, of course, with student and staff when it was needed. From our, then the Office of Emergency Management, they're here as well to also offer all resources that are needed. The important thing here is the collaboration of everyone that you see behind us to make this situation work as best as we can. But again, we're very appreciative of the team and all the hard work is done, but we know it's a very sad day. But that's the information I can give you from the Nashville Fire Department Office of Emergency Management. Thank you.
The 4th student who was transported to Vanderbilt suffered a facial injury from a fall. It was not gunshot related. He's a male student and fell, I think he wears eyeglasses, and had a facial injury as a result of the fall, and that was the 4th individual who went to Vanderbilt. We will take a limited number of questions from you now.
So the investigation is very much ongoing. So we're unsure at this time if it was targeted or if it was intended for multiple people. As I said earlier, follow our platforms and we'll put that information out as we gain more information. Our homicide detectives are actively investigating this in conjunction with the FBI, ATF, and TBI. It's a So we've had several things in place. We have Dr. Battle's done a lot. We've done active shooter training. They put protective film, security access into the building. This individual arrived at school on a bus and was actively a student in the school, went into the restroom, I guess, to retrieve his weapon, and then went into the cafeteria. I would say if there's anything as we progress, to always, if you see something, say something. We believe there's some materials out there, and if maybe they were seen, maybe and said something, maybe more could have been done.
Chief Drake, do we know if the shooter had a criminal history or if he has a history of bringing guns to school?
That's very much under investigation. I think there was one prior incident, but I'm unsure as to the details, but we will put that out later today. We're very much looking into it, and we'll let everyone know once we get there.
The victim herself was Hispanic. What services are going to be offered for this diverse community? We know that a lot of the students here are Latino families, and we're getting a lot of calls. They're obviously very distraught and kind of really don't understand what happened.
Yeah, it's the same as we do with all other students, and we have our family intervention program. We have counselors that are available. We have members of our department that are from the Hispanic community. We'll do everything we can to make sure all notifications are made, all outreach is taken care of, and any information we'll give to them. If they need to reach out, contact the police department, and we'll help, or the metro schools, and we'll help them with any information that they need.
Chief, have you been in contact with the shooter's parents or guardians, and have they been cooperating with the investigation?
Initially, we have made contact with a parent, and that's very much it's very much ongoing. So.
Is there any information on where the student got the gun?
That is an active investigation as well. We work closely with our federal partners, and they're doing a trace on the weapon as we speak.
In terms of the reunification that we saw here today, can anybody speak about how that went, if everything kind of went smoothly, and if this site was already predetermined to be that
So it was not predetermined to my knowledge. We determined to be a great site to have everyone meet a little bit away from the school. To my understanding, it's gone as well as can be expected. at this point. As I said earlier, we've done it systematically. We didn't want to overload the school, the Ascension Center, or the parents. And so systematically we've released a limited number of kids and got them connected back with their families. And that'll keep going until every kid is back safely with their parent. So.
Do you know how many bullet shots the victim received and if the shooter maybe had more ammunition?
So there was multiple rounds that were fired inside the school. Investigation would tell if there was other magazines, other ammunition, and all that. As it unfolds, this will go into the wee hours of the morning, and we'll have more information later.
Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
We just saw
next of kin notifications are just being made to the shooter's family and to the 16-year-old female. Those names will be released to you.